ಉಡುಪಿ ಕ್ಷೇತ್ರದಲ್ಲಿ ವಿಶೇಷ ಏನು ಅಂತಂತಂದರೆ, ನಿಮ್ಮೆಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ ಕೂಡ ತುಂಬ ನಂಬಿಕೆ ಇದೆ. ಏನು ಅಂತಂತಂದರೆ, ಭಾಗವತ ಗ್ರಂಥವೇ ಕೃಷ್ಣ ಪರಮಾತ್ಮ, ಭಾಗವತ ಗ್ರಂಥವೇ ಕೃಷ್ಣನ ಮತ್ತೊಂದು ಪ್ರತೀಕವೇ. ಆ ಒಂದು ಅನುಸಂಧಾನ ನಮಗೆ ಬೇಕು. ಕೃಷ್ಣನನ್ನು ನಾವು ಸಾಕ್ಷಾತ್ ಪ್ರತಿಮೆಯನ್ನು ನೋಡುತ್ತಿರುವಂತಹ ಕಾಲದಲ್ಲಿ ಯಾವಾಗಲೂ ಕೃಷ್ಣನ ಒಂದು ಸಂಬಂಧ, ಕೃಷ್ಣನ ಒಂದು ಸಂಪರ್ಕ ನಮಗೆ ಉಂಟು. ಹಾಗಾಗಿ ಕೃಷ್ಣನ ದರ್ಶನವೂ ನಿಮಗೆ ಕಣ್ಣಿಂದ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ, ಮತ್ತು ಆ ಕೃಷ್ಣನ ಕಥೆಯನ್ನು ಕೂಡ ಈ ಪವಿತ್ರವಾಗಿರುವಂತಹ ಕಿವಿಗಳಿಂದ ಕೇಳುವಂತಹ ಒಂದು ಸೌಭಾಗ್ಯವನ್ನು ನೀವೆಲ್ಲರೂ ಕೂಡ ಪಡೆದಿದ್ದೀರಿ. ಇಂತಹ ಮಹಾಗುರುಗಳು ನಮಗೆ ಅವರು ಮೊದಲಿಂದ ಪರಿಚಿತರು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳುವುದಕ್ಕೆ ನಾನು ತುಂಬ ಹೆಮ್ಮೆ ಪಡ್ತೇನೆ. ನಾವು ಶ್ರೀರಂಗ ಪಾಠಶಾಲೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ನನ್ನ ಅಧ್ಯಯನ ಆಗಿದೆ. ಅಲ್ಲಿ ನ್ಯಾಯಶಾಸ್ತ್ರ ಓದುವಾಗ ಅವರು ಕೂಡ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ನಮ್ಮ ಗುರುಗಳ ಹತ್ರ ನ್ಯಾಯಶಾಸ್ತ್ರವನ್ನು ಅಧ್ಯಯನ ಮಾಡಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಬರ್ತಾಯಿದ್ದರು. ಹಾಗಾಗಿ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ನಮಗೇನು ಹೊಸದು ಅಂತೇನು ಅನ್ನಿಸ್ತಾ ಇಲ್ಲ. ನಾವು ಪುದುಸು ಅನ್ನೋದ್ರೆ ಒಣ್ಣು ಕಡೆಯದು. ಹಾಗಾಗಿ ಇದು ಪುತ್ತಿಗೆ ಕ್ಷೇತ್ರ ಅಂತ 8 ಮಠಾಧಿಪತಿಗಳಿಗೆ 8 ವಿಗ್ರಹಗಳನ್ನು ಆಚಾರ್ಯ ಮಧ್ವರು ನಮ್ಮ ಮೂಲಗುರುಗಳು ಅವರು ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ ಪುತ್ತಿಗೆ ಸಂಸ್ಥಾನ ಅಂತನ್ನುವುದು ಒಂದು. ಆ ಪುತ್ತಿಗೆ ಪರ್ಯಾಯ ಈಗ ನಡೀತಾ ಇದೆ. ಅವರ ಮೂಲ ಸ್ಥಾನ ಯಾವುದು ಅಂತಂದರೆ ಇಲ್ಲೇ ಪುತ್ತಿಗೆ ಅಂತನ್ನುವುದು ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಮೂಲ ಸ್ಥಾನ. ಇಲ್ಲಿ ನರಸಿಂಹದೇವರು ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಪ್ರತಿಷ್ಠಿತರಾಗಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಇಲ್ಲಿ ನೀವು ಹೋಗುವಾಗ ಹೊರಗಡೆ ಒಂದು ಕಂಬ ಕಾಣಿಸುತ್ತೆ. ಆ ಕಂಬೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ನರಸಿಂಹದೇವರಿಗೆ ಮತ್ತು ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಒಂದು ಸಣ್ಣ ಸ್ಪರ್ಧೆ, ಒಂದು ಘರ್ಷಣ ನಡೀತು. ಹಾಗಾಗಿ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ನರಸಿಂಹದೇವರಿದ್ದರೆ ಇದೇ ರೀತಿಯಾಗಿ ಅದು ತೊಂದರೆ ಮುಂದೆ ಆಗತ್ತೆ ಅಂಥೇಳಿ ಆ ನರಸಿಂಹದೇವರನ್ನು ಅಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವು ಹೊರಗಡೆ ಪ್ರತಿಷ್ಠೆ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದೇವೆ. ಈ ಸುವರ್ಣ ನದಿ ಅಂತನೋದು ಏನಿದೆಯೋ ಇದು ವೇದಾಚಲ ಎಂಬಂತಹ ಪರ್ವತದಿಂದ ಹರಿದು ಬಂದಿದ್ದು. ವೇದಾಚಲ ಈಸ್ ನಥಿಂಗ್, ಮಣಿಪಾಲ್ ವೇದಾಚಲ ಸಮುದ್ಭೂತಾಂ ಸುವರ್ಣಾಂ ಕೋನುವರ್ಣಯೇತ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ ನಾವು ಕೇಳ್ತೇವೆ. ವರ್ಷದಲ್ಲಿ ಚತುರ್ದಶಿ ಮತ್ತು ಮಂಗಳವಾರ ಆಮೇಲೆ ಕೃಷ್ಣ ಪಕ್ಷ, ಇದು ಮೂರೂ ಸೇರಿಕೊಂಡು ಬಂದಾಗ ಸುವರ್ಣ ನದಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಸ್ನಾನ ಮಾಡುವುದು ತುಂಬ ಮುಖ್ಯ ಅಂತೇಳಿ ನಮ್ಮ ಪರಂಪರೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಹೇಳಿ ಬಂದಿದ್ದುಂಟು. ಯಾಕೆ ಮುಖ್ಯ ಅಂತಂದರೆ, ನೀವು ಸ್ನಾನ ಮಾಡಿದಾಗ ಯು ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಹಿಯರ್ ದಿ ಸೌಂಡ್ಸ್, ಚಟ 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 ಅಂತೇಳಿ ನಿಮ್ಮ ಕಿವಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಶಬ್ದಗಳು ಕೇಳಿ ಬರುತ್ತೆ. ಅದು ಯಾವುದೂ ಅಲ್ಲ, ಬೇರೆ ಯಾವ ಇಡೀ ಭಾರತ ದೇಶದಲ್ಲಿ ಒಂದೊಂದು ನದಿಗೆ ಒಂದೊಂದು ಮಹತ್ವವನ್ನು ಹೇಳಿದ್ದಾರೆ, ಇಲ್ಲ ಅಂತಿಲ್ಲ. ಆದರೆ ಇಂತಹ ಒಂದು ಮಹತ್ವ ನಿಮಗೆ ಎಲ್ಲೂ ಕೇಳಿರ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಸಾಧ್ಯ ಇಲ್ಲ. ನದಿ ಒಳಗಡೆ ನೀವು ಮುಳುಗಿದಾಗ, ಸ್ನಾನ ಮಾಡಿದಾಗ ಚಟ 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 ಅಂಥೇಳಿ ನಿಮ್ಮ ಪಾಪಗಳು ಎಲ್ಲ ಸುಡುವಂತಹ ಒಂದು ಶಬ್ದ ನಿಮಗೆ ಕೇಳಲ್ಪಡುತ್ತೆ. ಅಂತಹ ಅದ್ಭುತವಾಗಿರುವಂತಹ ನದಿಯ ದರ್ಶನವೂ ನಿಮಗೆಲ್ಲ ಆಗಿದೆ. ಇಂತಹ ಉತ್ತಮವಾಗಿರುವಂತಹ ಪಾವನ ಸ್ಥಳವನ್ನು ಇನ್ನಷ್ಟು ಪಾವನಗೊಳಿಸುವುದಕ್ಕಾಗಿ ಮಹಾಗುರುಗಳು ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಇವತ್ತು ಬಂದಿದ್ದು ತುಂಬ ಸಂತೋಷ ಅಂತ ಈ ರೀತಿಯಾಗಿ ಪುತ್ತಿಗೆ ಮಠ ಪ್ರತಿನಿಧಿಯಾಗಿ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ನಾನು ಹೇಳಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಇಚ್ಛೆ ಪಡ್ತೇನೆ. ಈ ಒಂದು ಅದ್ಭುತವಾಗಿರುವಂತಹ ಕೃಷ್ಣನ ಕಥೆಯನ್ನು ನಾವು ಎಲ್ಲರೂ ಕೇಳಿ ಪುನೀತರಾಗೋಣ ಅಂತ ಈ ರೀತಿಯಾಗಿ ಈ ಸಂದರ್ಭದಲ್ಲಿ ನಾನು ಕೇಳ್ಕೊಳ್ತೇನೆ. ಶ್ರೀಕೃಷ್ಣಾರ್ಪಣಮಸ್ತು.
ಯಂ ಪ್ರವ್ರಜಂತಮನುಪೇತಮಪೇತಕೃತ್ಯಂ ದ್ವೈಪಾಯನೋ ವಿರಹಕಾತರ ಆಜುಹಾವ ಪುತ್ರೇತಿ ತನ್ಮಯತೆಯ ತರವೋಭಿನೇದುಃ ತಂ ಸರ್ವಭೂತಹೃದಯಂ ಮುನಿಮಾನತೋಸ್ಮಿ. ಶ್ರೀಮದ್ಭಾಗವತಂ ನಾಮ ಪುರಾಣಂ ಲೋಕವಿಶ್ರುತಂ ಶೃಣುಯಾತ್ ಶ್ರದ್ಧಯಾ ಯುಕ್ತಃ ಮಮ ಸಂತೋಷಕಾರಣಂ. We are all fortunate today to be in this Narasimha Kshetra on the third day of our Bhagavata Saptaha Parayanam, where we are slated to enjoy the story of Narasimhavatara itself. Bhagavan takes many births in this world to save those who have surrendered to him, those who seek his aid. Out of all those bhaktas, Prahlada was a small boy who never believed in his own power and always relied on Paramatma. Indra, Gajendra and all others whom Bhagavan rescued first relied on their own strength, tried to remove their hurdles on their own, and then finally realized that they could not save themselves and called out to Bhagavan. But Prahlada was a small boy who at the age of 5 was so devoted that he knew that he could not do anything to save himself, and in fact he did not even try to save his own life. He relied on Paramatma, and when such a devotee calls out to him, Paramatma gladly comes and performs any great feat that is required to save him. So on this third day, we are supposed to enjoy, experience and complete up to the 7th skanda of the Bhagavata Puranam, which ends with Narasimhavatara. Yesterday, lastly, we saw about the stories of Dhruva, Prithu and Rishabhadeva, and we introduced how Bharata became the king of this land after Rishabhadeva. All these stories were narrated in the 5th skanda. The story of Rishabhadeva and Bharata are narrated in the 5th skanda of the Bhagavata Purana. But before that, in the 4th skanda, there is one very important teaching that Narada gives to a rishi, to a king in the lineage of Priyavrata. That alone we have to see from the 4th skanda and then continue with the stories in the 5th skanda. The stories that we are going to see today are mostly about the devotees of Bhagavan and how devotion and Nama Sankirtanam can remove all the sins that we have and can even grant mukti. It is said that even though the samsara is a poisonous tree, there are 2 nectarine fruits that come out of it. Samsara vishavrikshasya dve phale hyamrutopame kadachit keshave bhaktihi tad bhaktairva samagamaha. This poisonous tree known as samsara is bound to hurt us if we consume any other part from the samsara. But there are 2 fruits alone that are good for us. One is devotion towards Bhagavan Sriman Narayana, and the others is association with the devotees of Bhagavan. Kadachit keshave bhaktihi. The Purana says it is very rare for someone to achieve Krishna bhakti. He has to spend thousands of births doing yajna, homa, tapas, etc. and only then can he attain devotion towards Krishna. When that devotion matures, it becomes bhakti yoga, it will fetch us mukti itself. On the other hand, before we become a bhakta, there is an important step without which it is impossible to know more about Bhagavan and develop devotion towards him. That step is the association with great devotees who are noble souls and are always dedicated to Krishna. The stories that we are going to see today will emphasize the significance of Satsanga, of Bhagavata Samagama, and show how that can pave the way to our spiritual development and in time mukti itself. So the first story that we have to go through from the 4th skandha is a little different from this. Narada goes to a king known as Prachina Barhis, who is involved in performing many karmas. He is interested in Vedic rituals. He performs many sacrifices, and many of them are animal sacrifices. Narada wishes to instruct, to educate this king that animal sacrifice, more than to a given extent, is not good at any point of time. Jnana is always better than karma. It does not mean that karma can be relinquished at any point of time, but karma without jnana, without maturity, is of no use at all. In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Karmani akarma yaf pashyet, akarmani cha karma yaha, sa vidwan manushyeshu. He who sees karma to be non-separable from jnana, and jnana to be non-separable from karma, is the one who has realized the important truth. Karma without jnana, without maturity, is of no use. Suppose I string a garland of flowers looking at some television program and then go offer it to Bhagavan. Is that going to please him? Instead of that, I could have bought a garland and offered it to him. That effort of stringing a garland is of no use unless during the process of making that garland, I think about all the pastimes of Krishna, all the leelas that he has committed, and all those before me who have performed this kainkariam of offering flowers. Thondadippudi Alvar performed this kainkariam. Periyalvar performed this kainkariam. They all did this with a lot of love. Unless I have the same devotion within me, stringing garlands is of no use to Bhagavan. So karma without jnana is useless. On the other hand, is jnana alone sufficient to attain something? Narada says no. Jnanam alone cannot continue to flourish without the basic karma anushtanam. Unless we perform karma, our daily activities, routines regularly, our mind will always be ridden with kama, krodha, lobha, moha, mada and matsarya. So to remove these blemishes from our mind, karma is inevitable. But karma alone is of no use because it can only fetch you some limited fruits. It cannot give you anything that is eternal. Only jnanam that stems out of karma, that is done with the foundation of karma, can fetch you eternal bliss or mukti. This is the teaching that Narada wanted to give to Prachina Barhis, so that he stops this cruel killing of many animals and starts performing lesser yajnas and more dhyanam and meditation. Narada goes to Prachina Barhis. Prachina Barhisham kshattaha karma swasakta manasam karmasu asakta manasam. He was very devoted, he was involved in karma. Naradaha adhyatma tattvajnaha kripaluhu pratyabodhayat. Narada, who is replete with knowledge of the Atman, wanted to give the same education, the same knowledge to Prachina Barhis. So we went to him and started talking to him. Na janami mahabhaga param karma apaviddadhihi bruhime vimalam jnanam yena muccheya karmabihi bho bhoho prajapate rajan pashun pasya tvayadvare samyapitan jiva sanghan nirghranena sahasrashaha atrate kathayishyemum itihasam puratanam puranjanasya charitam nibodha gadato mama. Narada says, O king, you have performed many animal sacrifices. Now look at the sky. All the animals that you have killed are now waiting in Swarga for you to reach there so that they can harm you in return. You have harmed many animals. Due to that cruelty, they are all waiting to take revenge on you. So performing these rituals beyond a point is not good. There is a limit to even animal sacrifices. There are some animal sacrifices that have been prescribed in the Vedas, but the Vedas themselves say it is better to not harm any beings. Nahimsyat sarva bhutani, unless you cannot do away with it. Unless there is a practice which is compulsorily involved with animal sacrifice, you must avoid it at all costs. But this person, out of his interest in animal sacrifice, started to kill many animals. So Narada says, this is not the right path. Adhvara, this is not the right form of yajna to do. I wish to tell you the story of a person named Puranjana. At the end of the story, you will realize that such killing, even for the purpose of Vedic deeds, is not of great use. It is better to follow the path of jnanam. Narada starts to narrate the story. Asit Puranjano nama Raja Rajan Brihatshrawaha Tasya Avijnata Namasit Sakha Avijnata Cheshtitaha. Once there was a king known as Puranjaya. Puranjaya means he who wins over a city. Puram is a city, Jaya is victory. Once who wins over a city is called Puranjaya. That Puranjaya had a friend who was named Avijnata, he who is unknown, whose actions cannot be deciphered easily. So the friend's name was Avijnata. The two of them went around the world in search for a good city for Puranjaya to live in. Sa ekada himavato dakshineshwata masanushu dadarsha navabhir dwarbhihi puram lakshita lakshanam. Once on the foothills of the Himalayas, they came across a beautiful city which had 9 gates, which had 9 entrances. At once, Puranjana took to the city and he liked it a lot. He wanted to go in and start living there. When they were about to enter, a few people started to come out of the gates. Yadrichaya agatam tatra dadarsha pramadottamam bhrityair dashabir ayantim ekaika shatanayakaihi pancha shirshahina guptam pratiharena sarvataha anveshamanam rishabham apraudham kamarupinim. When Puranjaya tried to enter, a young woman came out of the city. She was accompanied by 10 servants who in turn had hundreds of servants with them. There were 10 main servants and each of them led an army of hundreds of servants. She was surrounded by these 10 people and there was a huge serpent, a 5-headed serpent which always went with her and protected her. She says, Pancha Shirshahina Guptam. She was protected by the 5-headed serpent. She came out and met Puranjana. Puranjana immediately fell in love with her. He wanted to marry her. He went to that woman and asked who you are, where do you come from, what is your name, what is this city, who built this city. I wish to know all of this before I enter and start dwelling in this city. That woman answered, I do not know who created this city. I do not know where I am from. I know that we are all living here today. I, with this 5-headed serpent and 10 of my servants and their servants in turn, are living in this city. One thing I can guarantee you is, if that you enter this city and you live here with me, you will enjoy many, many pleasures in life. Na vidama vayam samyak kartaram purusharshabha. We do not know who created this city. Yete sakhayas sakhyo me nara naryascha manada suptayam mayi jagarti nagoyam palayan purim imam tvam adhitishtasva purim navamukhim vibho mayopanitan grinhanaha kamabhogam shatam samaha. You can enter this city, start living here with me, and I will give you many enjoyments that you have never seen before in life for hundreds of years, for shatam samaha. For hundreds of years you can enjoy the pleasures that are there in this city. This is what the lady said. Puranjana was in acceptance of that, so he entered the city and he was in love with her. He forgot everything else in this world, and the same friend Avijñata, the minute this Puranjaya entered the city, when Puranjana entered, he left. So Avijñata did not go into the city with him. Avijñata left somewhere. Evam karmasu samsaktaha kamatma vanchitaha abudhaha mahishi yadyad iheta tattadeva anvavartata kridan parivrita stribhihi karadinim avishan shuchau saptopari krita dwaraha puratasyastu dve adhaha. He went into the beautiful city. It had lakes, it had rivers, ponds, it had many beautiful palaces. He enjoyed all the pleasures that were there, and he was cheated by the lady and all the people inside because he did not know anything that was happening outside. He was so enamored by the bhoga, the pleasure that he had inside, that he forgot about his old friend. He forgot about what was happening outside and led a happy life. Once he went out to hunt. After he finished hunting, he came back and his wife was angry with him. He tried somehow to pacify her and he gave her many more gifts. He completely dedicated his life to her. Anything, he was at her beck and call. When she was happy, he too felt happy. When she was sad, he too felt sad. He felt that his life's purpose was to keep this woman happy and to please her in any way possible. Many years went on in this way. Then the city came under attack. Tayaivam ramamanasya kama kashmala chetasaha kshanardhamiva rajendra vyatikrantam navam vayaha. In just like a moment had passed, he lost many years. He was now very old, and at that point of time, there was a Yavana who was named Chandavega. Shukacharya says, Chandavega iti khyataha. This is narrated by Narada to Prachina Barhis. Chandavega iti khyataha Gandharvadhipatir nripa Gandharvastasya balinaha Shashti uttara shatatrayam. There was now a Gandharva named Chandavega, someone who is fleeting. Chanda Vega. Vega means speed. Chanda Vega means the speed of a hurricane or a cyclone. So someone who is very fast. Chanda Vega was a Gandharva. He had 360 male servants and 360 female servants, and they were divided into black and white. Some of them were black, some of them were white. Gandharvyah tadrishi rasya maithunyascha sitasitaha parivritya vilumpanti sarvakama vinirmitam sa saptabhish shatairekah vimshatya cha shatam samaha Puranjana puradhyakshaha gandhairvair yuyude bali. Now, that Puram, the city that he had entered was now under attack by this Gandharva known as Chandavega, and he had 720 servants with him in his army. He had soldiers who started to attack that city, and that same war went on for 100 years. The city was under siege. For 100 years, Puranjana did not know what was happening, but he had a commander. That commander, using all the resources under his might, under his control, started to fight against Chandavega and the servants that he had brought. Now, while this went on, Puranjana was unknowing of all this. He did not know anything. He did not even realize that the city he was dwelling in was under attack. He was engrossed in all the pleasures that were there. While this was going on the other side, there was another daughter of Mrityu. Narada says, Kalasya duhita kachit trilokim varam ichchati paryatanti na barhishman pratyanandata kaschana tato vihata sankalpa kanyaka yavaneshwaram mayopadishtam asadya varvre namna bhayam patim. There was a woman who was this daughter of Kala. Kala refers to Kala Devata, the agent of death or time itself. He had a daughter, and that daughter went about searching for a good groom for herself. She did not find anyone. Nobody wanted to marry her. So she was dejected. She finally went to a Yavana Raja, a king of the Yavanas, who was named Bhaya. Bhayam Patim Namna. She went to him and asked him to marry her. Bhaya said, I know that nobody wants to marry you in this world. So instead of marrying you, I will accept you to be my own sister. I already have one brother who is named Prajwara. This person, the Yavana, is named Bhaya. He had an elder brother named Prajwara, and now he says, I will accept you as my own sister. And so this daughter of Mrityu became the sister of Bhaya. Prajwaroyam mama Bharata tvamchame bhagini bhava charami ubhabhyam lokesmin avyakto bhima sainikaihi. He said, I have a huge army. With this huge army, and with the two of you, my brother and you, my sister, I will roam about this world and conquer every city one by one. This daughter of Mrityu was okay with this, so she became the sister of Bhaya, and they went from one city to the other and they conquered. Finally, they came to this city where Puranjana was living and laid siege to that also. Kalakanyapi bubuje Puranjana puram balat yaya bibhutaf purushaha sadyo nissaratam yat bhayanamno agrajo nabrata prajwaraf pratyupasthitaha dadahatam purim kritsnam bhratuhu priyachikirishaya. First, that Kanya entered into, the daughter of Kala, entered into the city and took over it. Then Prajwara entered the city and he burnt the city completely. Just as Hanuman burnt down Lanka, this Prajwara, who was the brother of Bhayam, went into the city and he burnt it down to ashes. Finally, Puranjana, all his wife, his servants, everybody left him. He finally realized that none of them were going to save him, but he did not know what to do at that point of time. Dadhyau pramadaya dinaha viprayoge upasthite lokantaram gatavati mai anatha kutumbini vartishyate katham tvesha balakan anushochita. Even at that point of time, when nobody was there to rescue him, this person was continually thinking about his wife without knowing that Pramada, his wife, unknowing who was going to save her. He was so worried about his wife that he did not even care for himself or for this burning city that he was living in. And at that point of time, he lost his life. He took birth as a girl in his next life. Anantaram vidarbhasya rajasimhasya veshmani upayeme varya pannam vaidarbhim malayadvajaha. She was born as the daughter of the king of Vidarbha Desha, and a person named Malayadvaja. He is said to be a king from the south of India. Malayadvaja had many sons who ruled over, he had 9 sons who ruled over the southern part of India. That Malayadvaja married this girl. This girl was none other than Puranjana in his next birth. So she married him and he led a happy life. He was a very devoted bhakta of Bhagavan and he continued to perform penance, meditation, etc. Finally, when his time was over, he gave the kingdom to his sons and along with his wife, he went off to the forest and started to meditate there. Puranjana, in his next birth as the lady, went along with him. Yada na upalabhetanghrau ushmanam patyurarchati asit samvigna hridaya yutha bhrashta mrigiyata. Finally, while she was performing service to her husband, that husband also left this mortal body and went off to Vaikuntham. He was a very great bhakta. He went to Vaikuntham. Now this lady was again alone. She had nobody to care for her. She was weeping beside her husband's body without knowing who could save her. At that point of time, that old friend known as Vijnata came to that place and started talking to her. She did not know who Vijnata was. She started to lament and cry out about her sorrow. Vijnata said, if you had stayed with me in the beginning, you would not have undergone any of these hardships. The minute you entered that city, you lost your knowledge about everything else, you forgot about me, and you started enjoying worldly pleasures. Api smarasi chatmanam avijnata sakham sakhe hitva mam padam anvichan bhauma bhogarato gataha. You were so involved, you were interested in material pleasures or sensory pleasures in this world that you forgot about your friendship with me and went into the city. After that, I am seeing you only now. Can you remember me? I am your old friend Avijnata. Now I will tell you, if you follow the path of Malayadhwaja, if you are devoted to Bhagavan and you reach Vaikuntham, then you will have a good life. If you continue to be interested in material pleasures like this, then you are going to experience the same hardships again and again. After saying all this, Narada said, "Oh Puranjana, have you understood the moral of the story that I just narrated?" Puranjana did not understand anything. This person, Prachina Barhes, was narrated this story to by Narada. After listening to this story, Prachina Barhes did not understand why he was being told the story at all. And then Narada reveals who each and every character in the story is. Puranjana is none other than the Jivatma. The friend Avijnata that the Jivatma has is none other than Paramatma. These two are close friends. Paramatma is always standing beside the Jiva, waiting to rescue him whenever he asks for help. A friend is one who is Apat Sakha. Whenever someone is in hardship, the friend must come running and save that person. Bhagavan was always willing to save Puranjana, but Puranjana was not interested in him. He was looking for a good city to live in. That city that he found, which had 9 gates, is none other than this body. This body is referred to as the Navadwara Pura. The Bhagavad Gita also, Bhagavan says, Navadwara Pure Dehi Naiva Kurvan Na Dharayan. So this body has 9 holes, 9 gates in it. The 2 eyes, the 2 ears, the 2 nostrils, the mouth, and the holes by which we excrete urine and feces. There are 9 holes in this body. So this Puram, Navadwara Pura, is the city in which this Puranjana started to live. Now, there was one woman there. She had 10 servants with her, and there was a serpent with 5 heads which was protecting her. That woman is nothing but our manas, our buddhi. That buddhi is going to show us different pleasures in life. It is going to try to attract us, push us away or pull us away from Paramatma by showing us material benefits or sensory pleasures. This Puranjana, the minute he looked at that buddhi and all that the body had to offer, was immediately interested in that. The 10 servants that the buddhi had, that the lady had, were the 10 indriyams that we have. We have 5 karma indriyas and 5 jnana indriyams. Those 10 indriyams are the servants, and they in turn had hundreds of servants. Those servants are the actions of the eyes, ears, mouth, nose, and etc. It is called vritti. The eyes are capable of performing many activities. It can see something near, see something far, it can see something on the sides. The mind can think about many things. So the activities, the vyapara of the sensory organs are the hundreds of servants that they had. So this buddhi is accompanied by the 10 indriyams, and there is a 5-headed serpent that is protecting it. That serpent is nothing but the prancha vritti prana. Our pranavayu is divided into 5 parts: prana, apana, vyana, udana, and samana. This 5-headed serpent is the 5-pronged pranavayu which is trying to protect the buddhi and this body. What did Narada say? This body is protected by that five-headed serpent. Even when the buddhi goes to sleep, the woman said, even when I am sleeping, this five-headed serpent is supporting me. That means when we are in deep sleep, our manas is not functioning anymore. But even then the prana sanchara, the breathing and other movement of prana, apana, etc. does not stop. So this body is led by the buddhi, and the atma enters the body thinking that this buddhi with its 10 servants is going to show me a lot of pleasure. I am going to have many great experiences with this body. Once he enters the body, he forgets everything that happens around him. He forgot his old friend, the Paramatma, and he starts enjoying all the pleasures that the body has to offer. Now, on the other side, there was a Gandharva known as Chandavega. That is nothing but Samvatsara. The year, 1 year that we go through is none other than Chandavega. That Chandavega had 720 servants, 360 of whom were white and 360 of whom were dark in complexion. They are none other than the days and nights in a year. There are 360 days and 360 nights in a year. Those are the servants of Samvatsara, who was Chandavega. He is referred to as Chandavega because a year will pass by in a moment's time. We will think that New Year just went by, I had taken some resolutions. If you turn the calendar, we are now at the end of June. 6 months have already gone by. We have not performed anything great in this except for listening to this Bhagavata Katha Shravanam in Udupi. So, it is fleeting. Every year that we waste is fleeting, and so it is referred to as Chandavega. So Chandavega, along with the 360 days and nights as his servants, is laying siege to this body. And who is fighting against him? This Panchavritti Prana is the one that is fighting. It is trying to push away the years. Pranan is trying to keep me alive. Samvatsara is saying 1 year is gone, another year is gone. We celebrate birthdays. We do not know, we do not understand that 1 year has gone waste already without learning about Paramatma or performing any sadhana. So, when these years go by, the Atma Avijna, the Atma Puranjana does not know any of this. The Panchavritti Prana is trying to stave off. It is trying to keep the effect of the Samvatsara Chandavega outside, but it cannot do so. Over time, the Panchavritti Prana will start to lose its own strength also. By the time this happens, there was a Yaksha, Yavana, known as Bhayam. That Bhayam is none other than death. That death had a younger sister and an elder brother also. Elder brother was Prajvara. That Prajvara is none other than the diseases that we get in our body. Before death takes us, first the daughter of death, Kanya, will enter this. That is all the mental agony that we have. Then Prajvara, the physical diseases that we have, is going to enter this body and scorch it. It is going to remove all the essence from our body. So first the daughter of Mrityu enters, and then Prajvara enters the city, which is this body, and burns it down to ashes. You cannot use this body for anything anymore once it is ridden with a disease. Finally, Bhayam, who is none other than death, will come in and he will remove your life. Once this happens, the Atma has to leave. He is pushed away, he is thrown out of this body, and he takes another body. This will go on and on until Puranjana in his next life met with Malayadhwaja, who was a very devout person. That Malayadhwaja is in the place of any Bhagavata. Any devotee that we meet in our path in this life, during our lifetime here, is none other than Malayadhwaja. Someone who is involved in Vedic activities, someone who has a lot of jnanam and devotion towards Bhagavan is a Mahan. Any association that we have with him is going to change our mind also. So Puranjana in his next life, when he became the wife of Malayadhwaja, he left all his old ways. He was also a devout person, and she started to perform service to that Mahan. So once you perform service to the devotees of Bhagavan, your mind will also change. Even though they go to Vaikuntham, they will show you the path by which you can also go to Vaikuntham. This is the purport of the story, how a Jivatma enters the body and forgets everything else, and finally Paramatma comes back to you. When you are in distress, when you do not know who is going to save you, everybody has let you down. At that point of time, Avijnata comes back to Puranjana and says, since you left me and went seeking material benefits, you have undergone all these hardships. If you had not done that, if you had been with me and taken my help, you could have led a happy life. Once we realize this, we catch hold of Avijñātā's hand and he is capable of uplifting us. So Narada says, O king, just as Puranjana lived in his city and performed all Vedic rituals, but he performed them more than the allowed limit. We saw that once Puranjana went off to hunt in the forest. At that point of time, Narada says, Chachara mrigayam tatra dripta atteshu karmukaha asurim vrittim ashritya ghoratma niranugraha nyahanat shitit nishitair bhanaihi vaneshu vanagocharan tirtheshu pratidrishteshu raja medhyan pashun vane yavadartham alam lubdhaha hanyaditi niyamyate. Narada says, the Vedas have allowed animal sacrifices, but only to a limited extent. If you out of desire start to kill more and more animals, there are many types of karma. Some are called nitya karma, which are mandatory and you have to perform. Some karmas are known as kamya karma, which you do out of a desire to get some fruit. So out of a desire for material benefits, this Prachina Barhis had been performing many animal sacrifices. Now Narada says, all that is wrong, you have to correct your means and you have to start working for moksha. You have been working for dharma, artha and kama by performing karmas. Now start to work for moksha. Samshayotra me vipra sanchinnas tatkrito mahan rishayopi hi muhyanti yatra nayendriya virtayaha naham mameti bhavoyam purushe vyavadhiyate yavad buddhi manokshartha gunavyoho hyanadiman. Now Prachina Barhis realized that for all this time he had been engrossed in material pleasures, and for the attainment of them he had been performing many unnecessary sacrifices also. Therefore he now realized, by the preachings of Narada, he realized that he should reduce them. Karma alone, the Upanishad says, Nasti akritah kritena. Anything that you do, you perform, can only give you a limited fruit. It cannot give you unlimited bliss. It cannot give you unending bliss. Something that you do, something that you achieve, can only give you bliss that is small, it is kshudra alpa, and it is also short-lived. If you want to experience extreme bliss, and if you want to experience that for a very long time, then the only way is to meditate upon Paramatma and attain mukti like Puranjana did it in his next life. Therefore, Narada instructed Bharachina Barhis, Tatraikagra mana viraha Govinda charanambujam vimukta sangaha anubhajan bhaktya tat samyatam agat. Learning about this, Prachina Barhis left all his possessions. He went to the forest, performed meditation and penance as per Narada's words, and finally attained equality with Bhagavan. Samyam agat. When we attain mukti, we lose this body which is made of 5 elements. We get a divine body just like what Paramatma has. That is referred to as sarupyam. Tada vidwan punyapape vidhuya niranjanaha paramam samyam upaiti. The Upanishad says when a mukta attains Vaikuntham, he becomes equal to Paramatma in many aspects. Paramatma is not ridden by hunger, thirst, sorrow, old age, disease, etc. This Muktatma also does not have to undergo any of them. By merely willing something, Paramatma is capable of making it happen. This Jivatma will also become Satya Sankalpa. Paramatma does not depend on the Indriyams to cognize anything. Only if we have eyes can we cognize something, can we see something. Paramatma can know everything without the need for Indriyams also. Similarly, this Muktatma, his knowledge becomes so vast, it becomes unfettered, that he is capable of knowing everything in this world without the use of Indriyams at all. That stage where he attains similarity to Bhagavan in his attributes and in his form is known as Samyapatti. So Shukacharya Narada says that person Prachina Barhis performed meditation and attained Samyapatti. Yetat adhyatma parokshyam geetam devarshinanaga yash ravayed yash shrunut saha lingena vimuchyate. Finally, Shukacharya says, if someone listened to this story that was narrated by Narada to Prachina Barhis, which gives the essence of how to perform Vedic rituals. It is not performance of Vedic rituals alone that is enough. You have to first stay away from non-Vedic activities. There are 3 adhyayas in the Bhagavad Gita, 16, 17 and 18. Krishna stresses 3 things in the 3 of them. In the 16th adhyaya he says, anything that is ashastriyam should not be performed by you. Ashastram asuran kritsnam. Anything that is not prescribed in the Vedas is asura. Never go away from the Vedas, against the Vedas. In the 17th Adhyaya he says, even amongst Vedic rituals, do not perform them those which are done out of Rajoguna or Tamoguna. Do not do things for material benefits. Do everything with Sattva-guna so that you can attain Vaikuntham. Finally, in the 18th Adhyaya, he explains how to do something with Sattva-guna, with 3 types of Tyaga. Do not think that you are performing something. You must think that Bhagavan is making this happen through you. Do not think that you are going to get any material benefit from this. You must only think that Bhagavan's pleasure is my only goal. Other than that, I do not want to achieve anything in this world. Finally, Mamata Tyaga. Do not think that this karma belongs to you. It belongs to Paramatma. Paramatma, using me as a puppet, is trying to do some dharma in this world. So that karma belongs to Bhagavan, the fruit of that karma belongs to him, and I too belong to him. With these 3 goals, with this realization, if I perform karma, that is called Sattvika karma. Only such karma can fetch you mukti, no other karma. Non-Vedic activities are useless. Vedic activities done out of Rajoguna or Tamoguna will make you be born in this world again and again and again. You can never exit this. So in order to attain salvation, you need to perform all the karmas with Sattvika Tyaga, with a lot of Sattva Guna. This is the story of Puranjana and what Narada preached to him. Then the 5th skanda starts with the story of Rishabhadeva, and after that his son Bharata. Once Rishabhadeva, he gave the throne to his sons. He had 100 sons. The first among them was Bharata. He was the foremost and the most knowledgeable among them. Therefore, he gave the kingdom to Bharata and went off to the forest. That Bharata, he ruled over the world beautifully. Bharatastu Mahabhagavataha Yada Bhagavatavani Bhagavata Avanitala Paripalanaya Sanchintitaha Tad Anushasana Paraha Panchajanim Vishwarupa Duhitaram Upayeme So Sumatim Rashtabhritam Sudarshanam Avaranam Drumaketumiti Ajanabham Namayetad Varsham Bharatamiti Yata Arabhya Vyapadishanti. Shukacharya says that Bharata married the daughter of Vishwarupa Duhitaram, the daughter of Vishwarupa, who was named Panchajani, and he had 5 sons with her. He ruled this earth and all the people there like his own sons. And this Varsha, this Bhuloka, the Bhugola was earlier told in the 2nd and 3rd skandhas. We are living on an island known as Jambu Dvipa. This Jambu Dvipa is divided into many Varshas, many regions. The region that we live in is referred to as the Bharata Varsha, which is to the south of Mount Meru. This Bharata Varsha here does not mean the year that we usually take it to mean. Varsha refers to a region here. So, Prithu had 7 sons. So when he wanted to split the kingdom amongst his 7 sons, he took his chariot and he started to ride his chariot around and around at the same speed at which the sun was going around. Therefore, this Bhumi was split, this Jambu Dvipa was split into 7, this Bhumi was split into 7 islands. The centermost among them is referred to as Jambu Dvipa. That Jambu Dvipa is split into 7 Varshas. One amongst them was referred to as Ajanabha Varsha. There was a king known as Ajanabha before, and it was known by his name because he was the most supreme king who had ruled that land. Now, once the son of Rishabha, Bharata, took over the kingdom, that name was changed to Bharata Varsha. During the Sankalpa that we do, we say, Meroho Dakshine Parshve, Aspin Bharata Varshe, Bharata Kande Shakabde, Meroho Dakshine Parshve. That Bharata Varsha got its name, not because of the brother of Rama, not because of the son of Dasharatha Bharata. It is the son of Rishabha, after whom this Varsha is named. So this Bharata performed many sacrifices with the knowledge that devotion is supreme. Sampracharatsu nana yageshu vicharita anga kriyeshu apurvam yattat kriya phalam dharmakhe pare brahmani yajna purushe sarva devata linganam mantranam artha niyamakataya sakshat kartari para devatayam bhagavati vasudeve eva bhavayamanaha. What we talked about just now. There are 3 types of tyaga. 1, you have to think that Bhagavan is making you do all the actions that you performed. He is performing these good Vedic deeds through you. Secondly, he wants to save this world, and the purpose of these Vedic deeds is to please him, not for us to get any material benefits. With all this understanding, Bharata used to rule over the kingdom. Finally, when he was old, he was fed up with this kingdom. He gave it to his sons and went to the forest. He reached a beautiful place. Yatra havava Bhagavan hariradhyapi tatratyanam nija jananam vatsalyena sannidhapyate tatra Chakranadi nama Sarit Pravara Sarvatah Pavitri Karoti. He went to the banks of a river known as Chakranadi, and he started to make an ashrama there and performed penance there for many, many years. He did not worry about anything. He was least concerned about whether he got something to eat or not. Rishabhadeva was such a great person. We saw how he was not bothered about heat or cold, how he did not bother about whether he got something to eat or not, whether people insulted him or praised him. Similarly, Bharata was no lesser than Rishabhadeva. He too led a very sedentary life without any material attachments. But once when he was performing his penance, sitting in a forest near the river Chakranadi, there was a doe, there was a female deer that came there to drink water. While it was drinking water, there was a sound of a lion. A lion suddenly roared from nearby. Listening to that sound, the deer got afraid and it immediately jumped and ran off. Shuka says, Taya pepiyamane udake tavat eva avidurena nadataha mrigapater unnadaha loka bayankaraha udapatat. There was a sound that instilled fear in the mind of the deer. The deer jumped and ran away. As it jumped up, it was pregnant. The garbha that it had been carrying fell down from the womb of the deer. The deer did not have time to look back and save that child. The mother deer ran away. Bharata, who was witnessing all this, now saw that there was nobody to save that child. It was a small deer who had nobody to protect him. Therefore, Bharata took over that child and started to did all that was necessary. He gave it food, he started to cuddle, he started to put it to sleep, and over time he got so attached to that deer that he started to forget all the karma and the dhyanam that he had to perform. Iti kritanushangaha asana shayana atana sthana ashanadishu saha mriga jahuna snehanubadha hridayaha asit. When he was sleeping, when he was standing, when he was roaming the forest, even when he was doing penance, he could not be separated from that deer at all. He grew so fond of it that he was always caring for the deer. Sometimes to perform a yajna, he would prepare a charu or a purodasha that has to be offered in the yajna to the devatas. That deer will suddenly come in and eat that whatever he had prepared and go off. He should have grown angry because his karma had been aborted in the middle, but out of his love, he would start admiring those activities of the deer also. If our children come and spoil something, we are doing something for Krishna Jayanti, we are preparing many bhakshanams. There's the tattai, seedai, all this are there. Suddenly a child comes, all that I had made, he put all the seedai together, made into a bigger ball and ran away. Would we be angry or would we enjoy that? If we are in a good mood, we would of course enjoy everything that the child does. Similarly, this Bharata, out of his love for the deer, was not angered by anything that it did. Even though it was interfering with all his penances and his dharma, karma anushtanam, he did not have any anger towards it. In fact, when he was about to die, all that he could think was who was going to take care of this child, of this deer, after I am gone. He says, Api swit asau bhagavan udupatihi yenam mrigapate bhayat mrigamataram mrigabalakam swashrama paribrashtam anukampaya kripana jana vatsalaha paripati. Once I am gone, will this deer be eaten up by other animals? Till he was there, he had protected that deer from all lion, tiger, hyena, etc. He now is afraid that once he was gone, there was nobody to protect this deer anymore. It was as though that deer, nowadays, people consider dogs to be a part of their family, their first child. Similarly, this Bharata considered that deer to be his whole family. He was so fond of it. There is a Pashuram by Alvar, Niyalaye Sirupuvai, Nedumalar Kentudai, Noyanadu Nuvalenna Nuvalade Irundurindai, Shayalodu Manimamai Talarndenan, Inivunahu Vayalahil Innadishil Vaiparai Nadaye. Alvar is speaking as a girl, Naika Parankusha Nayaki. She had many birds that she had given food to and grown through her life. Now, she thinks that due to separation from Bhagavan, she is going to die. She is no more going to live there. So she does not know who is going to care for these birds. So she calls that bird and says, Nee Yalaye Shirupuvai. Alvar had sent this bird as a messenger to Bhagavan, so that that bird can inform Bhagavan of how distressed Alvar was. So Bhagavan can come and save her, or at least show his face once in front of Alvar. That bird did not go and did not deliver the message at all. Noi enadu nuvalenna nuvalade irundudindai. I had requested you to tell my fear, my agony to Bhagavan. You did not go to him, you refused to do so. Now, Shayalodu manimamai talarnde nan. I have lost all the strength in my body. I have lost the will to live. I have lost the beauty that was there in my body. Ini unadu vayalahil in adishil vaiparai nadaye. I don't think I will be able to support you anymore, to give you food anymore. I am going to die. You please go to any nest that you want. You go to any master who will give you food. Do not stay here. I am now going to die. Alvar is speaking so. There was an Acharya of Swami Ramanuja by the name Periya Thirumalai Nambihal. That Periya Thirumalai Nambihal, during his old age, he knew that his time had come. He is not going to live for many days more also. At that time, he called a few of his disciples near him. He could not even stand up on his own. The disciples propped him up, and holding their hands, he walked a few feet to the place where inside his house he had placed his own Aradhana Murti. He had a Murti that he was performing Aradhanam to. He went and stood in front of that Perumal and said, Shayalodu manimamai talarndennan ini unadu vayalahil innadisil vaiparai nadaye. He was so fond of that Bhagavan that even though he is going to die, he was concerned about who was going to give the next day's food to that Bhagavan. That was all that he was concerned about, not about dying, because he knew by the grace of his Acharya Alavandar, he is going to attain mukti. But that idol, that Archa Murti was going to starve. There was going to be nobody to feed it. Therefore, that Acharya got up and remembered this Pashuram where Alvar says to the bird that you can seek any refuge that you want, any nest that you want, and he uttered these verses. This is how you should be. But this person, Bharata, although he was a great jnani, a scholar, somehow he went astray from the path of devotion, from the path of dhyanam, and was so fond of this deer that when he left his life, while breathing his last breath, his mind was fixed on the deer and what was going to happen to it. Once this happened, he left that body, and instead of attaining Vaikuntham according to the bhakti that he had performed, he took another birth as a deer. Shuka says, Visrijya Lokamimam saha mrigena kalevaram mritam anu sa mritajanma anuspriti tara anuspritihi itaravat mrikashariram avapa. He took birth as a deer because this is a tenet in the Shastrams. When you leave your body thinking very intensely about something, then in the next birth you are born as the same thing. Yam yam vapi smaran bhavam tyajati ante kalevaram tamtamevaiti kaunteya sada tadbhava bhavitaha. Krishna says that in the 8th adhyaya, he says when you are constantly meditating upon something, then in the last moment when you leave your life, you will again remember that same thing. He is instructing so because he wants us to think about him always. Unless you think about Paramatma in the last moment, you will not be able to attain mukti. We came and asked, how is it possible to think about him? Is there some way, some tool by which I can think about him in the last minute? He says, think about me throughout your life. Then naturally in the last moment you will also think about me. You can attain mukti. But this person, Bharata, since he thought about the deer at his last moment, he was born again as a deer. But due to the greatness of the yoga that he had performed, he remembered all that he had happened in the previous birth. This is a very important aspect of Bhakti Yoga. It is one of the glories of Bhakti Yoga. In Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna asks Krishna the same question. Suppose there is a person who is performing Bhakti Yoga, he is performing meditation continuously. But due to some unfortunate circumstances, he develops an interest in some material pleasure. Instead of wanting mukti alone, suppose he wants to eat something, suppose he wants to go to Swarga and enjoy some pleasures for say 100 or 1000 years. What will happen to him? He was traveling on the path to mukti, he has gone astray from that. He has not followed the path by which you can attain Swarga also. So, he is like a cloud which is moving from one cluster to the other. when you see the sky, sometimes there will be a cluster of clouds moving in one direction, there will be a cluster moving in another direction. Suddenly, a portion of a cloud will separate from this cluster and go join another cluster. While it is moving separately, if there is a huge gust of wind, that cloud will be dispersed immediately. It cannot survive. Similarly, this yogi who is traveling on the path of meditation is swerving away from that. He is going towards the path to Swarga. But he has not performed the yajna, tapas, etc. to reach Swarga also, because till now he had performed Sattvika Tyaga and done all the karmas. So now he is in a intermediary state. He is not a normal person who wants to attain Swarga, who has done yajna. He is not a perfect yogi also who can attain mukti. He is caught in the middle. So Arjuna asks, what will become of such a person, such a yogi who has gone astray from his path? Krishna says, nothing will go wrong with him. Nahi kalyana krita kaschit durgatim tata gacchati. Anyone who starts to perform bhakti yoga or karma yoga or starts to develop devotion towards me will never go to ruin. Whatever he wanted, Krishna says, he will go to Swarga. This person was on the path of meditation to mukti. He wanted Swarga in the middle. He will go to Swarga, enjoy whatever he wants there, and his next birth in this Bhuloka will be in a family of very great devotees and jnanis. Once he is born in that family, he can pick up from where he had left off in his previous birth. He can complete his bhakti yoga and attain mukti itself. This is the concession that Bhagavan gives to one of his bhaktas. So similarly, this Bharata, since he was fixed on the deer when he lost his life, he was born as a deer, but with all the remembrances about his previous births. He knew what had gone wrong. He knew that his attachment to the deer has caused this bad life. So he spent that life as a deer, a very short life. Even there he used to starve. He used to perform upavasa for many days and eat only what was necessary. Once that birth was over, he was born as the son of a Brahmana, a very good scholar, but in that birth he was referred to as Jadabharata. Shukacharya says, Atha kasyachid dvijavarasya angiraf pravarasya shamadamash tapas swadhyaya adhyayana tyaga santosha titiksha prashraya vidya anasuya atmajnana ananda yuktasya. All the qualities that that person had. Now Bharata, who had taken birth as a deer, is now taking birth as a Brahmin once again. His father was a very good person. He knew Swadhyaya, he had learned the Vedas. Tyaga, he was not attached to anything. Santosha, he was content with what he had. Titiksha, he could tolerate all the small grievances that used to come in by his path. Prashraya Vidya, he knew humility, he had knowledge. So, Anasuya, he was not jealous of anybody. So this person who was a very great devotee, this Bharata was born as the son of that Brahmana, and in that birth he realized that he must not commit the same folly once again. He thought that if I act as a normal human being, then I will be pulled into the circle of life once again. I will have to marry, I will have to have children, I will have to raise them, I will have to earn money. So he thought, if I start to behave like a mad person, like a blind person, like a mute person, then nobody will come near me. He decides, Purva Janmavalihi Atmanam Unmatta Jada Andha Badhira Swarupena Darshayamasa Lokasya. To the world, he posed as a person who had gone mad, who was mute, who was blind. He did not see anything. He did not respond to anyone. He acted so randomly that people thought he was mad. Even his own brothers, once his father passed, his father tried to uplift him somehow. He taught him the Vedas, he taught him all the rituals that he had to do. But Bharata was just not interested in performing any of them. He wanted to live the life of a secluded ascetic and attain mukti in this life at least. Once his father had died, all the other brothers started to take advantage of him. They sent him to work in the fields. They had a lot of land. None of them wanted to do physical labor. They used to send him to the field. This Bharata, he was now referred to as Jadabharata. Bharata has taken birth now and he acted as a Jada, as a dumb person, so that people do not trouble him. He does not have to go into the usual cycle or the procedures in life. While he was Jadabharata, people used to call him to perform work in their homes. He was a very strong and stout person because whenever he ate food, he did not eat out of hunger. So whatever came by his way, he used to eat everything that he caught. When nothing came by his way, he used to starve for many days together also. He did not bother what was given to him. He says, Nyunam adhikam iti na veda kana pinyaka phalikarana kulmasha sthali purishadinyapi amrutavat abhyavaharati. Be it some urad dal or just paddy or the husk of paddy, or when you make something, you wash all of you have finished eating, we have something sticking to the pot left over, you wash it with water, that washed water and whatever is sticking to the pot, people used to give that as food to Bharata. He goes and works in their homes or their lands for labor. They have to feed him when he goes for labor. They give him all these rotten things, some things that they can't eat. But Bharata was happy. Amrutavat abhyavaharati. He considered all of them to be amrita. He did not know whether it had salt or it did not. He did not bother whether it was hot or cold, whether it was edible or even not edible at all. He used to eat everything that came by his way. He had a stout body, and so people called him for all forms of work. Finally, one day, when he was sitting alone in a field, there was a thief who wanted to perform a sacrifice to goddess Kali. He wanted to perform a human sacrifice. He was looking for the right person to do so. When they were roaming around in the fields, they came by Jadabharata. He was a big stout man. So he thought, if I sacrifice this person to Kali, she will be very happy. He has a lot of flesh in his body. So they immediately took him, they bathed him, they adorned him with many sandal paste, garlands, etc. They gave him a lot of food to eat. Jadabharata was happy. He did not even know what was happening. He did not realize that he was going to be sacrificed. They were feeding him. Finally, they made him stand down, and he lifted the knife to cut off his head. At that point of time, goddess Kali suddenly appeared there. Nirvairasya sarvabhuta suhrudaha sunayam api ananumatam alambhanam tadupalabhya brahma tejasa ati durvishahena dandahyamanena vapusha sahasa uchchachata saiva devi bhadrakali. When this person was about to be sacrificed, he is a great Brahmajnani. The effulgence, the heat and the light that came out of his body could not be borne by the image of Bhadrakali who was present in front of them. They kept an image of her, an idol, and started to sacrifice him. That idol could not stand the effulgence and the Brahma Tejas that was emanating from his body. Immediately, Kali appeared there, and instead of killing this person, Jadabharata, she killed all the thieves who were going to sacrifice a devotee of Vishnu. She knew that this person was a great Brahmajnani, so those who wanted to harm this Brahmajnani, she considered to be her own enemies, and so killed all of them. Dushtanam tenaiva asina vivrkna shirshanam galat sravantam asrk asau amatyusham saha ganena nipiya atipanam atad vishwalaihi uchchaistaram swaparshadai saha jagau nanartacha vijaharacha. She got the same knife which the thief had in his hand. With that she cut off all their heads. She pulled the spine out of their body, and all the blood was dripping. She, along with all her messengers and her servants, drank that blood. They killed all those people and started to dance there and sing and have a merry time there. Jadabharata did not look at any of these. He knew that someone brought him somewhere, gave him some food. Now suddenly there is someone standing there, dancing there with the figure of a big goddess. He did not worry. He went off back to wherever he was standing. This happened similarly after this. So now Bhadrakali showed that even there is a great devotee of Bhagavan, it is sin to harm him in any way. Although the sacrifice to get a good son, that thief wanted to have progeny, he wanted to perform human sacrifice. Even if that is accepted, sacrificing a bhakta or even harming him to any small extent cannot be borne by Bhadrakali, because Bhagavan cannot bear this. He is going to take avatara as Narasimha just because Hiranyakashipu did not act rightly with Prahlada. Hiranyakashipu was not a new Nastika. He was not a new enemy of Bhagavan. He had been performing many bad acts for hundreds of years before even Prahlada was born. But all those hundreds and thousands of years, Narasimha never incarnated in this world. The minute he went wrongly against Prahlada and tried to harm him, Narasimha came down. So all his avatars, Acharyas say, Bhagavan, பிறந்து பண்ணின ஆனை தொழில்கள் எல்லாம் Bhagavatapacharam Poramayale. He is not able to bear the sin that people commit towards his devotees. So every avatara that he does is to alleviate the people, is to destroy the people who are going against his devotees. So here Bhadrakali did not want to kill him. She in turn killed all those who wanted to harm Jadabharata, and she went away. Jadabharata came back. Now, after many years after this, there was a Sindhu Sauvira Raja named Rahugana, who was the king of Sindhu Sauvira, a region in Bharata. He wanted to go to Kapilacharya and get knowledge about the Atma. He knew that Kapila was the person who was spreading Atma Jnanam, the Viveka, the distinction between Atma and Deha. So Rahugana wanted to go to Kapilacharya and get his teachings so that he can also become a Jnani. When he was passing by, he had only 3 people to carry his palanquin. There was one person short. So all the bearers of the palanquin started to search for a 4th person. Under a tree, this Jadabharata was sitting. He was again a stout person, so they thought that he will be able to bear the weight of the palanquin. They called him, put the palanquin on his shoulder and told him to walk in front. The palanquin, which is supposed to go straight, if you are bearing the king, you would not even want a hair on his body to move hither or thither when you are bearing him. So all the 3 messengers the 3 bearers were so careful that the palanquin does not go astray from its path. But the palanquin was going in a Vishama Gati. Shukacharya says, Tadahi Dvijavarasya Ishumatra Avalokana Saha Ayam Adhunaiva Niyuktopi Na Drutam Vrajati Nanena Saha Vodhum U Havayam Parayama Iti. The palanquin started to move from side to side. It was not going in a firm path. So immediately the king stopped all the bearers and asked, why are you doing this? Can't you go in a straight line? You are suddenly pulling me here. You are suddenly going as if you are going to topple down. He asked what was going wrong. The 3 of them complained that we are doing a good job. This 4th person that we brought, although he is stout, is not able to carry the palanquin. We cannot work along with him. The king only then moved the curtain and saw that 4th person who had come by. He looked at him. He found that he was a very strong. He appeared to be strong. So Rahugana said, he says, Atha punaha swashibikayam vishamagatāyam prakupitaha uvacha Rahugunaha kimidamare tvam jivan mritaha mam kadarthi kritya bhartru shasanam aticharasi pramattasya chate karomi chikitsam dandapaniriva janatayaha yatha prakritim swam bhajishyase iti. He says, are you a corpse? Jivan mrita iva. You appear as though you have no knowledge. You can't do any activity properly. Are you dumb? You seem to have a large body. Can't you bear me? I am not so heavy. Can't your shoulders bear me? Are you dead? Why are you not listening to my commands? I am going to punish you so that you go back to the right method. You are now astray from your original path, from the right path by which you have to live by. By my punishment, I am going to set you right. When Rahugana said this, immediately Bharata kept the palanquin down. He started to talk to Rahugana, Tvayoditam vyaktam avipralabdham bhartus same syadyati veerabharaha ganturyadyad adhigamya madva piveti rashau na vidam pravadaha. He picked each and every word from what Rahugana said and started to answer. Oh Rahugana, what did you say? You said that I am bearing you on my shoulders. Where am I bearing you? You are borne by the palanquin. That palanquin rests on the rods that are there. The rod is borne by my shoulder. My shoulder is resting on my hip. My hip is resting on my feet. My feet are resting on the body, on the bhumi. So bhumi is carrying you. In fact, bhumi is being carried by Adishesha who is below it. So nobody is carrying anybody. You are not carrying me. I am not carrying you. Then you are asking, why am I not going on a straight path? Where is there a path? Why am I the traveler? I am not traveling on any path. Bhartus same syad yati veera bharaha. If I had some weight on top of me, you can ask me why I am not able to carry it. There is no weight that is resting on me. I am in turn carried by the bhumi, so I am not bearing you. Similarly, Gantur yadisyad adigamya madhva. You are saying there is a goal, place that you have to reach. I don't have any place that I have to reach because I am not a traveler at all. Why are you saying I have to travel on the same path? Piveti rashau na vidam pravadaha. You said I look stout, I have a big figure, big body. How am I big? I am a small, minuscule Atma. I am not big. You are not small. All these differences are all mithya. They are all superficial. Don't blabber like this to me. If you know about the Jivatma, you can talk to me. If otherwise, don't talk to me at all. This is what Jadabharata said. Rahugana immediately got down from the palanquin, prostrated at his feet. Since he was talking something, he spoke something that Rahugana could not understand. He immediately thought that he was a great jnani. The mark of a jnani is that nobody should understand what he speaks. So what Jadabharata said, Rahugana could not understand. He immediately came down, fell at his feet and asked, are you Kapilacharya? I wanted to go to Kapilacharya. It is as though when I was going to Bhagavan, he himself has come in front of me. When Rahugana was going, Sthaulyam Karshyam Vyadhaya Adhayascha Kshutrid Bhayam Kaliricha Jaracha Nidra Rathir Manyur Ahammadas Shuchavaha Dehena Jatasya hi mena santi. He immediately asked, oh great person, who are you? You talk as though you know Vedanta. I am trying to go reach Kapilacharya to get knowledge about the Atma. Are you an Atma Jnani? Are you Kapilacharya himself? Please teach me about the Atma and the body. Once Rahugana asked, Jadabharata starts to preach to him, Sthaulyam, Karshyam, Vyadhayaha, Adhayascha, being stout or being lean, having a mental disease or a physical disease, or hunger or bhayam or desire, jara, being old, nidra, sleep, ratihi, manyuhu, ahammadaha, arrogance, desire, all these come only because of the body. They are not dharmas that I have. I do not possess any of these qualities. Atma does not have hunger. He does not feel thirst. He does not need sleep. But since I have taken a body and the body requires all this, body requires rest. It needs something to eat. Because of that, I am forced to do all this. But in fact, none of these are going to affect me. Kastvam nigudas charati dvijanam bibharshi sutram katamo vadhutaha kasyasi kutrasya ihapi kasmad kshemaya naschedasi nota shuklaha. He then asks, I am going for Kapila. Are you Kapila? Where are you coming from? Who are you? For what purpose have you come to this place? He asked three questions once more. Jadabharata asked, again all these three questions are useless. Never ask these three questions to anybody. Who are you? Where are you from? Why are you here? Every Atma is going to give the same answer. Who are you? I am an Atma, no different from you. Where are you from? I am from a mother's womb, you are also from a mother's womb. Why are you here? I am here to destroy my sins. You are also here to destroy your sins. So every Atma is going to give the same answer. Don't ask these questions of anybody. It will show that you are a fool. Do not expose that you are a fool to anybody. You must not ask any such questions to people so that they think you are a great person. Vachamsi yoga grathitani sadhaha. Then, Nana kshamante manasapi hetum. Alvar says, when I was going to seek for வந்து எனது அடியேன் மனம் புகுந்தாய் புகுந்ததற்பின் வணங்கும் சிந்தனை கிணியாய். We are supposed to go to Bhagavan, take a few steps to go towards him. But in fact what happens is, Bhagavan comes searching for us. Alvar, Tondadipudi Alvar says, Amalanadipiran, in his Prabandham he says, Tirukkamalapadam vandu yen kannin ullana okkunnade. Tiruppan Alvar had to go to Srirangam to have his darshan, Tondadipudi Alvar, but he says, the feet of Bhagavan have come all the way from Srirangam to Urayur and they are now resting in my eyes. Similarly, Rahugana says, the person who I am searching for has come right in front of me. I want to learn about the Atma and Paramatma from you. Please teach this. So Jadabharata says, that is all fine. Chetobhir akutibhir atanoti nirankusham kushalam chetaram va Yavan mano rajasa purushasya satvena tamasa vavaruddham yatha pradipo ghृतवर्ति makshnan shikha sadhuma bhajati hyadan swayam. He says, O king, you have been performing many sacrifices, many Vedic rituals, etc. But none of these rituals are capable of giving what you truly seek. What you want is Atma Jnanam for the purpose of attaining Mukti. Mukti can never be attained by performing rituals. Jnanam vishuddham paramartham ekam anantaram tu abahir brahma satyam pratyak prashantam bhagavat shabda samyam yad vasudevam kavayo vadanti rahuguna etat tapasa nayati nachejjaya nirvapanat grihadva. You cannot, Vasudeva is the person who lives within every organism, every being. That Vasudeva cannot be attained by tapas or by yajna or by performing Agni Puja, not Chandasa, not by uttering the Vedas. Naiva Jalagni Suryaihi Vina Mahatpada Rajobhishekat. He says there is a first step that you need so that you can process on the spiritual path. Mahatpada Rajobhishekaha. Mahan is a great devotee, Jnani. Mahatpada Rajaha. The dust that is sticking to the feet of a great person, of a noble person, unless you take that and pour it on your head, Abhisheka, you have to bathe in the dust that is sticking to the feet of great devotees. Only then can you remove all your sins and progress on the path of spirituality, because that Sangama, that Satsanga that you get to association with great people will take you much farther than what all the karma that you do can perform. Thondadipudi Alvar says, Yer adartadum, Yenamai nilankundadum, Munni Ramanai Maradartadum, Mannalandadum, Sollipadi, Vanbonni Perarupolvarum, Kandanir Hundu, Arangan Kovil, Tirumuttam, Sherisei Tondar, Sevadi Chedum, Shere, Yen Shennikka Anivane. Alvar was looking for a good tilaka to apply on his forehead. He tried everything, he was not satisfied. Finally, he went to Srirangam. There, many bhaktas were discussing amongst themselves about Bhagavan. Yer adartadum, Bhagavan curbed the 7 bulls in order to marry Nappinnai. Yenamai nilam kundadum, he uplifted Bhumi as Varaha Peruman. Munne Ramanai Maradartadum, Mannalandadum, the pastimes of Rama, Varaha, Trivikrama, etc. Singing all this, one ponni per arupolvarum Kandanir. Those people start to cry, thinking about the gunas of Bhagavan. Those tears will fall to the ground and mix with the sand that is there below. Kulasekhara Alvar says, I want to pick up that paste and apply it to my forehead as the tilaka. There is no greater tilaka than the mixture of devotional tears and the pada rajas. They have placed their feet on that mud. Now the tears, devotionary tears from the eyes have also fallen there. I want to mix those two and apply them on my tilak on my forehead as the tilak. That is the best thing that a devotee can do. So, and so on. He says, Yadyanyosti parahkopi mattaf parthiva sattama tadaishoham aham ayam chanyaha vaktunevam apishyate. Finally, he says to Rahugana, forget the differences that you see in the bodies. You must realize that no two Atmas are different. I can say that I am such a person and he is a different person only if there is some difference in the Atmas. Bodily differences cannot be the cause of differentiation between people. Yedi anyosti parahkopi mattaha. Everywhere I see the same being, the same Atma, and Paramatma is residing within each and every one of them. Therefore, do not look at bodily differences. Go beyond this. See beyond this and see equality amongst the Atmas. And you must realize that Paramatma resides within all of them. You meditate on this continuously and you will be able to attain moksha itself. So he gave all this Upadesha, this preaching to Rahugana. So Bharata, who was the son of Rishabhadeva, was a great bhakti yogi. He was first a king, then a vanaprastha in the forest. Then, since he went astray from the path of devotion, yoga, he had to be born as a deer. And realizing his folly, he took birth as Jadabharata, lived here for many years, gave many upadeshas, and finally attained mukti also. With the story of Bharata and then a few other stories also, the 5th skandha of the Bhagavata Puranam comes to a close. The next skandha starts with the story which gives the prominence or the significance of the Nama Sankirtanam, singing the names of Bhagavan, how it can remove the sins. Any sin that we have performed is told in the story, and even when we utter it without knowledge of its meaning, even if we did not mean to utter those names, the names are capable of granting us. When we recite Vishnu Sahasranamam, it is not mandatory that we have to know the meaning of Vishnu Sahasranamam before reciting it. Merely uttering the names of Bhagavan is capable of granting mukti. Alvar and Thirumalai says, Moitta val vinayul ninnu, moonrelu tudaya peral, kattira bandhumanne parangati kandu hondan, இத்தனை அடியரானார் கிறங்கும் நம் அரங்கனாய பித்தனை பெத்துமந்தோ பிறவியுள் பிணங்குமாரே. There was a person known as Kshatrabandhu who lived in a forest. He was a thief. Whenever someone went by, he used to snatch whatever they had. Once there was a sage who came by. He caught hold. So when Kshatrabandhu met that sage, the sage did not have anything to offer to Kshatrabandhu. Instead, he started to talk to him. Why are you leading such a bad life? I will give you an upadesha. I will teach you a name which just has 3 letters in it. You chant that name again and again, and all your sins will be removed, and you will get a great life. You will attain mukti itself. Alvar says, Kattirabandhu manne parangati kanduhondan. Kshatrabandhu caught the rishi, but the rishi did not have any wealth. Kshatrabandhu lived in a forest, and he who used to rob everybody who came by that forest. Once a sage, when he came by, he did not have anything to offer to Kshatrabandhu, and so he started talking to him. I will teach you a beautiful name which has just 3 letters in it. You chant it continuously, and you will get rid of this bad life. You will have a very good fortune-filled life. So he learnt that those three-lettered name from that Acharya and started to chant them again and again and attain mukti finally. Alvar says, Moondru eluttu udaya peral kattira bandhumanne parangati kanduhondan. Alvar does not specify which 3-lettered name he was taught, because he wants us to go ask him about it. The Acharya had taught the name Govinda to Kshatrabandhu, but Alvar in his Pasuram did not mention the name Govinda. He says, Moondru eluttu udaya peral. That is because if he had openly declared which name it was, none of us would be interested in it. Alvar thought if we conceal something, people will be intrigued as to what it is. This fruit is there. If I carry it like this out of this hall, nobody would be bothered with it. If I keep it under my uttariyam and carry it, people would think some special prasadam has been given to Swami. He is carrying it without showing anybody. Similarly, Alvar says, I want people to develop an interest in Bhagavad Vishayam, so I will say, Moondru eluttu udaya peral. I will not specify whether it is Madhava, Govinda, or whatever name it is. Let someone come to me. When they come, ask me, I will explain which name it is. So Kshatrabandhu, by barely chanting the names of Bhagavan, had attained mukti. Similarly, there is a story of Ajamila that is narrated in the first portion of the 6th skandha of Bhagavata Purana. Shukacharya says, Karoti bhuyo viveshaha prayaschittam atho katham kvachin nivartate abhadrat kvachit charati tatpunaha prayaschittam atopartham manye kunjara shauchavat. Parikshit asks Shukacharya that during our lifetime here, we perform many sins. We try to repent for them and perform prayaschitta also, but when we perform prayaschitta, we are not able to stop the performance of sins. We again go back to our old methods. So what is the way to come out of this? Something that is pushing me is making me do all these, even though I realize that they are not good for me. Drishta shrutabhyam yet papam janan api atmano ahitam. I know that these are bad for me, but somehow something is pushing me to do this. Arjuna also asked the same question. Atha kena prayuktoyam papam charati purushaha anichannapi varshneya baladiva niyojitaha. It is as though there is a small sailboat that is going in the ocean and there is a huge gust of wind. Whichever direction the wind pushes us, that boat has to move. Similarly, something is pushing me and making me do bad activities. Even though I don't want to do them, I know they are wrong for me. So, Raja, Parikshit asks Shukacharya, what is the method to get rid of all the sins, to overcome all my sins? It is not possible to do prayaschittam for each and everything. First of all, we do not know which sins we have committed. We know what we have done in this birth, but not in our previous births. Even if we find out what we have committed, performing the prayaschitta itself, while doing that, we will accrue even more sins during that. Suppose I do Aradhanam to Bhagavan every day. In that Aradhanam, there is a possibility that I commit some sins. I might do something wrong that is not apt for Bhagavan. So while trying to do a good meritorious deed, a punya, I can accrue even more papa. So Parikshit asks, prayaschittam atopartham manye kunjara shauchavat. Doing any prayaschitta is like bathing an elephant. When you bathe an elephant, the minute it comes back to the land, it is going to pick up whatever garbage is around and put it on top of itself. There is no use how many ever times you bathe an elephant. So Parikshit says, whenever I cleanse myself of papa by prayaschitta, I end up doing the same mistakes once again. So what is the way for sure to get rid of all of these? Shukacharya answers, there are two paths. One, some people perform this. Tapasa, brahmacharyena, shamena cha damena cha, tyagena satya shauchabhyam, yamena niyamena cha. People speak the truth, adopt all types of penances, they perform yaga, yajna, etc. And finally they are able to remove all these sins. This is one path. Some others, kechit kevalaya bhaktya vasudeva parayanaha agham dhunvanti kartsnena niharamiva bhaskaraha. But how much ever you do, activities you do, you will not able. How many ever activities you perform, you will not be able to remove your sins completely. But when the sun rises, in one go it is able to get rid of all darkness that is there in the world. Similarly, devotion towards Paramatma is the sun. Once that sun has risen in your mind, in your heart, then all the blemishes will be removed in one go. If you do prayashchittam, you have to remove one by one over many, many births or years. But jnanam, but devotion to Paramatma will remove all agha, all papa in one go. Sakran manah Krishna padaravindayoho niveshitam tad gunaragi yairiha nate yamam pashabhritascha tadbhatan swapnepi pashyantihi chirna nishkritaha. Even if you think about Bhagavan once, or if you utter his name once, you will never have to look at the face of Yamadharmaraja even in your dreams. He can never come near you even in your dreams. Kedum idaraya vellam Keshava enna naalum koduvinai seyyum kootrin tamargalum kurgahillar. Alvar says, if you just utter the word Keshava or any name of Bhagavan, kootrin tamargal, the servants of Yamadharmaraja can never come near you. Idaraya vellam kedum, all hurdles that are there in your path to mukti will be removed by this Nama Sankirtanam. So, to stress upon the importance of Nama Sankirtanam, whether you know the meaning of the name or not, Shukacharya starts to narrate a beautiful story. Atracha udaharantimam itihasam puratanam dutanam vishnu yamayoho samvadastam nibodhame. Once, Kanyakubje dvijah kaschit dasi patir ajamilaha. In the land of Kanyakubja, there was a person known as Ajamila. He was born in a Brahmin family. He learnt the Vedas from his father. He performed all the meritorious deed, Vedic activities to the T. He did not stray anywhere. Once, when he had gone to take bath in a river and when he was coming back, he looked at a lady and immediately fell in love with her. She was a dasi. She did not have any home. She did not want to marry him at all. But he was so taken by her that he immediately left his old parents. He left his wife, who was a very young child, and went along with that dasi and never came back to his house. He had many children with that dasi and forgot about his old house, his other duties to his family at all. So, then many years passed by. Sa evam vartamanaha agnaha mrityukale upasthite matim chakara tanaye bale narayanahvaye sa pashahastan trin drishtva purushan bhrishadarunan vakratundan urdhva romnaha atmanam netum agatan. When his life had come to a close, the servants of Yamadharmaraja, 3 servants who had very gruesome faces, red eyes, great teeth, canine teeth, had come to pick up his Atma and take him to Yamas Pattanam Naraka. Seeing them, he was immediately scared, and when we are scared, we call out to some person who is very close to us. This Ajamila was attached more than to any other of his sons to his last son, who was named Narayana. So immediately when he felt scared, he immediately called his last son who was playing outside. Oh Narayana, please come running to me, please catch hold of me, someone is coming to take me away. Once he uttered the word Narayana, before the servants of Yamadharmaraja could throw their rope, pasha rope, and catch hold of him, some divine people who were dressed just like Vishnu immediately came down from Vishnu Loka and stopped them. Kasyava kuta ayataha kasmadasya nishedhata kim deva upadeva va yuyam kim siddha sattamaha. The servants of Yama did not know what was happening. They thought that their master was the master of the whole universe. Nobody can act against the will of Yamadharmaraja. So now they asked, who are you? Are you a Devata, an Upadevata? Are you a Gandharva? Are you a Siddha Purusha? What right do you have to stop us from performing our duty? This Ajamila is a very bad person. He has to be taken to Naraka immediately. Why are you stopping us? When the Yamadutas said so, the Vishnu Dutas answered, you say you are the servants of Dharma Raja. Do you know the meaning of Dharma? Can you tell me what Dharma is? Immediately the Yamadutas answer, Veda pranihito dharmaha adharmastad viparyayaha Vedo Narayana sakshat swayambhuriti shushruma suryaha agnihi kam marud gavaha soma sandhya ahani dishaha kam kuhu kalaha dharmaha iti hyete daihyasya sakshinaha. The Yamadutas define dharma. Veda pranihito dharmaha. Whatever is enjoined in the Vedas, whatever is commanded in the Vedas for us to do is called dharmaha. Adharmaha tad viparyayaha. Anything to the contrary, which the Vedas say not to do, or non-performance of what the Vedas prescribe us to do is considered a sin. This is the basic definition of sin. Now, Bhagavan has created many people to watch us always. Sakshi is a person who keeps note of whatever is happening around so that each person is punished for whatever sin he does. The Yamadutas say, Surya, Agni, Akasha, Vayu, Kaus, Chandra, Surya, Ahani, the daytime, nighttime, directions, Kala, Dharmaraja. All these people have been kept by Bhagavan so that we can never escape from doing something. Suppose we perform some wrong act. We cannot say that there was no witness to my misdeed, because Akasha is going to be there, Bhumi is going to be there, there are going to be many Devatas around who can witness me, so nobody can escape. Even if all others fail, Bhagavan is present within us as the Antaryami to note down each and everything that we do. Tondadipudi Alvar in Thirumalai says, Ulluvar ullittellam udanirundha aruthi enne, velhippoi ennulle naan vilavarat chiritthittene. Alvar wanted to fool Bhagavan somehow. So, he took up the disguise of a bhakta. He had no devotion internally, but he wore a veti, he wore urdhvapundram, the tamarai mani mala, etc. And he posed to be a devotee of Bhagavan, but inside there was no devotion. He thought he could fool Bhagavan also, just like he was able to fool everyone in this world. Then, Tondadipudi Alvar came to know that Bhagavan is not outside, he is residing inside. Ulluvar ullittellam udanirundha aridhi. Alvar realized that Bhagavan is inside and knows every thought that we have in our minds. So, velhippoi, immediately Alvar started to laugh out loud. Vilavarat chiritthittene. He laughed so much that his ribcage started to hurt. He laughed so much that I thought I could deceive someone who resides within me and sees, witnesses everything that I do. So Bhagavan is the supreme witness. Even before him, there are so many devatas to witness the misdeeds that we do. So the Yamadutas say, this person Ajamila, you don't know how much he has done. Sambhavantihi bhadrani viparitani chanagaha. Nahi kaschit kshanamapi jatu chishtatya karmakrit karyate hyavashah karma gunai swabhavikair balat ayam hi shruta sampannaha sheela vritta gunalayaha dhritavrato mridur dantaha satyavan mantravichushihi. They talk about how this Ajamila lived previously. He Shruta Sampannaha, he had learnt all the Vedas. Sheela Vritta Gunalayaha, he had good qualities and good conduct. Dhritavrataha, he followed all the vrata, the upavasa that he had to do. Mriduhu, he was a very soft person who took care of his family. But how has he turned now? Ekadasau vanam yata, ekada asau vanam yataha, pitr sandeshakrit dvijaha. He once went to the forest, saw a woman, fell in love with her, forgot his newly wed wife, forgot to perform service to his parents also, and he has lived that his dasi is his whole life. He has forgotten everything else. So, Tatayenam dandapanehe sakasham krita kilbisham neshyamaha akrita nirvesham yatra dandena shuddhyati. Finally the Yamadota says, since he has performed so many sins, there is only one way for him to repent and to be pure again. If someone who has committed a mistake becomes pure, once they undergo the punishment for that. Similarly, only if the Raja doles out that punishment will the Raja also be blemishless. Rama says this in one of the places when he kills someone. A Raja, suppose there is a person committing a sin and the king allows that to happen, then the Raja also incurs sin. He has allowed a misdeed to happen in his realm. So, when the king doles out a punishment to a person, both of them are cleansed of sin. The king also does not incur sin because he has given punishment. The person who committed the crime is also pure now because he has undergone punishment. So, the Yamadutas say this person has to go to Naraka, he has to experience sorrow there, only then will he be pure again and he can take birth in this world. Thus saying, they concluded and stopped and started to listen to what the Vishnu Dutas were saying. The Vishnu Duta started to insult Yamadharmaraja directly. They said, when this whole world is thinking that Yamadharma, Dharmaraja will take care of them properly, they will not be punished for something that they have not done, your master Yamadharmaraja does not know dharma at all. Yasya anke shira adharat lokaha swapiti nir. So, the Vishnu Dutas say, Edaineva hyagonvasya kritam syad aghanishkritam yada narayanaayeti jagada chaturaksharam. The Vishnu Dutas said, all that you said is true. He had committed many sins throughout his life, but the moment he uttered the 4-letter word Narayana, all his sins have been washed away now. Stena surapo mitra druk brahmaha guru talpagaha yada stri raja pitr gohanta yeja patakino pare. All these people who have committed these sins, stenaha, a thief, surapaha, one who drinks alcohol, mitra druk, one who cheats his own friend, brahmaha, one who kills a Brahmin, stri raja pitr gohanta, a person who kills a woman or a king or his own father or a cow. All these are great patakas, mahapataka. Even such great sins are removed when you chant the name of Narayana. The Yamadutas asked, this person did not chant the name of Narayana. He called out to his last son. He did not call to your master Narayana, he called his own son. He did not mean to utter it as the name of Bhagavan also. Then how are his papas washed away? The Vishnu Duta says, Sanketyam parihasyam va stobham helanameva va vaikuntha nama grahanam ashesha aghaharam viduhu. Whether you know the meaning or not, it does not matter. Sanketyam, Sanketa means we allot a name to someone that we know. Students usually give some name to their teacher. He would already have a name, but based on whether he is rude or whether stern or something, we can allot a name for them. That is called Sanketa. If a 10 of us or 5 of us together say, we will hereafter refer to this desk as Vishnu, that is Sanketa. So even if you utter the name of Narayana as a Sanketa for something else, it can even mean a river. Narayana can mean this hall, anything at all. I do not refer to Paramatma Narayana. I am referring to a hall as Narayana. Even then, the word Narayana will do whatever it is capable of. When you touch fire, whether the child knows whether fire will burn you or not, fire has the nature to burn everything. It is going to be hot. Similarly, even when I do not have devotion in my mind, when I touch Bhagavan, when I think of Bhagavan or when I utter his name, the nature of his name, his nama, is that it will remove all sins. Sanketyam, parihasyam. Suppose I want to insult somebody or even jokingly I utter that name, even then it will remove sins. Stobham helanamevava. Helanam is insulting someone. Stobha is useless utterance. Suppose I am writing a shloka. I have to have 32 letters in that shloka, Anushkup shloka. I am capable of writing 28. Somewhere there is one word missing. I need 4 more letters to fill the gap. I immediately wrote Narayana there without meaning the meaning at all. There is no connection between Narayana and the meaning of that shloka. But I had to fill the verse in some form or the other. So I just included the word Narayana. But then I have used that name. So whatever purpose I use is for Sanketyam, Parihasyam va, Stobham Helanaveva va, Vaikuntha Nama Grahanam, Ashesha Aghaharam Viduhu. It is capable of removing all sins. All the names of Bhagavan are capable of removing sins. And the Narayana Nama is said to be the supreme name amongst all of them. Thirumangai Alvar got the Upadesha of the Narayana Mantra, Ashtakshara Mantra for Bhagavan. And in his Periya Tirumudi, the first 10 verses of Thirumangai Alvar, he talks about the glory of Narayana Nama. Pulantarum, Selvam Tandidum, Adiyar Padu Tuyarayanavellām Jalandaram Seyyum, Nil Vishum Varulum, Arulodu Perinelam Adikkum,
வலம் தரும் மற்றும் தந்திடும் பெற்ற தாயினும் ஆயன செய்யும் நலம் தரும் சொல்லை நான் கண்டுகொண்டேன் நாராயணா என்னும் நாமம் குலந்தரும். It will give you association with people who are devotees of Bhagavan. Selvam tandidum, it will give you wealth that you can use for service to Bhagavan and devotees. Adiyar padu tuyarayanavellam nilantaram seyyum. It will demolish any hurdles that you face, any fears that you have. Nil vishum varulum, it will grant you mukti itself. Perunilam alikkum valam tarum, it will give you strength. Alvar says, after giving Vaikuntham, this Nama will give you strength. That is because once you attain Vaikuntham, you need a lot of strength to enjoy Bhagavan. The minute you see him, if you start crying and you are not able to perform service at all, then there is of no use. So you have to be firm, you have to be strong to perform service to Bhagavan. The same name gives the strength to see him, experience him and perform service also. So all of these Petra Tayinum Ayana Seyyum, it does more for us than the mother who gave birth to us. The Nalam Tarum Sollai Naan Kandugundain. That Narayana Nama was uttered by Ajamila. So the Vishnudutas denied the permission to Yamadutas for them to take him. The Yamadutas did not know what to do. They left Ajamila and went away by the same way they came. Iti pratyudita yamya duta yatva yamantike yamarajne yatha sarvam ajachakshurarindama. They went back and started narrating everything. These people came, they said chanting the names of Bhagavan will remove all your fears, will remove all the troubles you have. Vane, Vane, Rane, Satru Jalagri Madhye, Yidrichaya Patsu Mahabhayeshu. Whether you are in a forest or in a youth or in a war or in any other bhayam also, idam patan stotram anakulatma sukhi bhavet tatrata sarva rakshaha. That name of Bhagavan is capable of protecting us in all forms. So you can be happy anywhere you go. There is nothing to be afraid of. This is what the Vishnu Dutas are saying. We do not understand this. We thought that you are the master of this whole world. But they are saying that Vishnu Narayana is the master of this whole world. I don't understand this. Are you the master or not? They went to Yamaloka and started asking these. By that time, here Ajamila starts to think about what has happened. He heard the conversation between Yamadutas and Vishnudutas and he has realized how much wrong he has committed. He thinks that if I had followed on the right path, by now I would have been a great person, I would have been a devotee and attained mukti. I have gone so much astray from the path of devotion that this instance of the conversation between Yamadutas and Vishnudutas had to shake him up, wake him up somehow. The crux is the name that he uttered. When he uttered the name Narayana, that gave him association with the Vishnudutas. When we say that the Nama Sankirtanam will guarantee you mukti, it is not a direct upaya to grant mukti. Shukacharya himself says, Sakam vihayasa vipro mahapurusha kinkaraihi iti jatasu nirvedaha kshanasangena sadhushu gangadwaram upeyaya mukta sarvanubandhanaha hitva kalevaram tirthe gangayam darshanadanu satyaha swarupam jagrihe bhagavat parshvavartinam. This Ajamila, the minute he chanted the names, the Vishnu Dutas came and met him. So Nama Sankirtanam will raise you to the step of sadhu samagama. It will create Bhagavata Sangoshti, it will create association with his devotees. When it does not mean that uttering the name will grant you mukti, then it is not fair that someone has to perform bhakti yoga for thousands of years and attain mukti, and merely uttering the name of Bhagavan will give you mukti. That is not so. Uttering the names of Bhagavan will give you association with his devotees. That sadhu samagama will create nirveda in your heart. Nirveda is regret. Ajamila now starts to regret all his actions. He thinks that how wrong he has been in giving up his wife and his parents also. Kvacha aham hitavah papaha brahmaghno nirapatrapaha kvacha narayane edat bhagavan nama mangalam soham tatha yatishyami yata chittendriyanilaha yatha na bhuya atmanam andhe tamasi majjaye. I have realized that what I must do now, henceforth I will never push myself further down into this dark well called samsara. I will try to uplift myself by uttering, chanting the names of Bhagavan and doing all other things, all other forms of devotion that he has to do. Saying so, he left wherever he was and went to Ganga Dwara, where Ganga meets the ocean, and staying there, he performed penances, meditation, etc. And finally, a Vimana came down from Vishnaloka. He alighted on that, and he went, attained Vaikuntham itself in that birth. So this story of Ajamila is narrated to show how merely uttering the names of Bhagavan even without knowing, it is of course better to know the meaning. This does not mean that one should not learn the meaning of Vishnu Sahasranama. You should know the meaning so that you can enjoy. Knowing the meaning of the names will make you remember the Leela that Bhagavan performed. Each name, Yani, Namani, Gaunani, Vikhyatani, Mahatmana. Each name refers to a guna or an activity, Cheshtita, that Bhagavan performed. If you don't remember the name, if you don't know the meaning of the name, then you can't enjoy which activity you have to remember, but you can still chant it, and whatever benefit you get out of merely chanting will definitely come to us. If you know the name, it also becomes enjoyable. Whether we use Sahasranama to remove sins alone or to enjoy also depends on us. Same milk can be used as medicine, or it can be used as an enjoyment also. We drink milk every day not as enjoyment, not to remove some disease, but just to enjoy the taste of milk. Similarly, Sahasranamam has two purposes. One, it can cleanse us of sins. Second, it is so enjoyable. Alvar, Tondadipudi Alvar, once he tasted the sweetness of Namasankirtanam, he says to Bhagavan, I don't want Vaikuntham henceforth. Pachima Malabolmeni, Papalavai Kamalachengan Achuta, Amara Rere, Ayaratham Kodunde Yennum, Ichuvai Tavirayan Ko Indira Lokamalum, Achuvai Perinum, Verde Narangama Naharulane. I don't think that Vaikuntha experience is going to be more sweet than the experience of uttering your names. Therefore, I wish to stay here and continue to do Namasankirtanam and not come to Vaikuntham at all. So we can experience the sweetness of the names only when we know the meaning of them, because that is what is going to make us recollect the pastimes of Bhagavan. But even without knowing the meaning, if we merely chant the names of Bhagavan, that too will give us many great benefits. This is the preaching, the teaching that Shukacharya gave to Parikshit. And on the other hand, the Yamadutas went to Yamadharmaraja and they asked him a question, are you not the master? I thought that there is nobody who is controlling you. Someone came and said, you do not know about Dharma at all. This is the true nature of Dharma. Now please clarify, are you the Lord of the universe? Are there many Shastras? Are there many Lords to the universe? Or is someone else the primary Shasta? Yamadharmaraja says, Atastum eko bhutanam seshwaranam adhishwaraha shasta dandadaro nrinam shubhashubha vivechanaha paro madanyo jagatas tastushascha otam protam patavadyatra vishwam yadam shatosya sthiti janmanashaha nasyotavat yasya vashecha lokaha. So please come near me. If we are talking something against a person who is very strong, then it is wise not to shout to one another. Suppose there is a lion here, it is going to gobble us up. And I am standing here, there is another person who is standing there. That person, he wants to tell me that if I don't move at all, if I stay still like a rock, the lion might leave me and go away. But what he did was, he shouted from there saying, don't move at all. The minute he shouted, the lion heard him and went and ate him up. So if we want to talk about something which is not to be discussed publicly, it is better to talk in private. So Yamadharmaraja, when this question was posed to him, the Yamadutas asked whether he is the Lord of the universe or whether there is some other Lord. Immediately he called the Yamadutas close by. Vadati Yamakila tasya karnamule parihara madhusudhana prapannan prabhuraham anyan rinam na vaishnavanam. He called the Yamadutas close by and uttered secretly these words in their ears, because if Bhagavan came to know that a few people think that Yamadharmaraja is the Lord of the universe, he will be punished first. Suppose there is a kingdom, the Raja is ruling over it. Suppose the minister there goes to a few people and says that I am the true ruler. This person, I am operating him like a puppet. I am standing behind the scenes. His head will be cut off the next day. Similarly, Yama is now afraid that if Bhagavan listens to these words, that some people think that he is the Lord of the universe, he will be punished. So he calls them nearby and says them, Harihara Madhusudhana Prapannan. Do not hereafter go near those who are devotees of Bhagavan. If someone commits sins and does not repent or does not have devotion to Bhagavan, please bring them here. Tan Anayadvam Asato Vimukhan Mukunda Padaravinda Makaranda Rasad Ajasram Nishkinchanai Paramahamsa Kule Rasakyehi Jushtad Grihe Nirayavatmani Vriddha Krishnan. there is someone who is indifferent towards Paramatma, if he has not uttered the names of Paramatma at all, then wherever he is, whichever sin he performs, go there, catch hold of him and bring him here immediately. If a person who has committed a sin has now chanted the names of Bhagavan, if he has become a devotee, don't go near his house at all. And the don't even lie down, keeping your head to the side where they are lying. So never go near them. Even if you go near them by mistake, go prostrate in their feet, take their Sripada Teetham, perform Pradakshinam once and come back. Don't go there with the intent of taking them to Naraka. Prabhuraham Anyan Rinam Na Vaishnavanam. I am the Lord of those who are not the devotees of Krishna. For all devotees of Krishna, he will take care of whatever punishment or reward has to be given to them. Tasmat Sankirtanam Vishnoho Jagan Mangalam Amhasam Mahatam Api Kauravya Vidhi Ekanta Nishkritim Naiv Ithamsa Swabhartr Gaditam Bhagavan Mahitvam Samspritya Vishmita Dhiyaha Yamakinkaraste Naivachudashraya Janam Pratishankamanaha Drashtum cha bibhyati tatah prabhritisma rajan. Thereafter, once they learned the true greatness of the devotees of Bhagavan, Yamas, Dutas never come near those who are devoted. They will go everywhere else where there are sinful people, but the devotees of Bhagavan, whether they have to be punished or not, is taken care of by Bhagavan. Alvar in one of his Pasuram says, Avan Tamar, Yev Vinayar Ahilum, Yenkon Avan Tamare Yen Rodivadallal, Naman Tamaral Arayappat Ariyar Handir, Aramanamel Per Ayar Katpattar Per. Those who are devoted to Bhagavan are never analyzed by Yamadharmaraja. Naman Tamaral Arayappat Ariyar. Yamas Dutas can never look at the sins or the table of their sins and merits and try to give them punishment, because those devotees are under the protection of Bhagavan. Merely chanting his name once, if it can give so many benefits, then suppose you do it continuously. Nama Sankirtanam is very, very important. It is an outpouring of the devotion that you have. It is not an activity, that is a duty that has to be performed. When you sit down and you start thinking about Bhagavan, the Alvar say that you must naturally be pushed to stand up, dance and sing about him. Moimam Bungodil Poihai Mudalai Cheripattan in Nakaimavu Karul Shaida, Karmuhil Pol Vannan Kannan, Yemmane Cholli Padi Edundum Parandum Pulladar, Tammal Karmam Ensollir Tan Kadalvatta Tullire. If there is a person, human being in this world, who does not stand up, dance and rejoice when hearing or chanting the names of Bhagavan, then Alvar says his life has been wasted. Even if he has learnt all the Vedas, if he knows all Shastram, penance, Vrata, etc., if he does not feel devotion and if he does not dance, Urvala Pukkum Puhadum Ulohar Shirikka Nitradi. We asked Alvar, some people are insulting us, they start to mock us. If we go in the street and we dance somewhere, we feel very shy to do all that. In a closed setting, if all of us, everyone around is a bhakta, then when requested many a times, we will stand up and dance lightly. We don't have the freedom, or are not open enough to dance openly in the streets. Alvar says, don't worry about that. Even if you go into the streets and dance, some people might mock you. They will clap their hands and show you and say this person is mad. Alvar says, you continue dancing for some time. Either they will grow bored of insulting you and they will go away, or they will come join you and start chanting the names of Bhagavan. Whichever happens, don't worry about that. Whether there are people around you or whether you are alone, whether they insult you or whether they revere you, don't worry about that. You continue to chant the names of Bhagavan. That alone is enough to please Bhagavan forever and ever. So this story of Ajamila shows the importance of Nama Sankirtanam, and moreover about Sadhu Samagama. Earlier, when he chanted the names, he was associated with Vishnu Dutas. He did not know what else he had to do. Nama Sankirtana leads to Sadhu Samagama, Satsanga. Satsanga leads to regret. It will make you regret whatever you've been doing wrong in life. That regret will then push you towards mukti, towards knowing more and more about Bhagavan and going on the path of devotion. So this is in the sixth skanda, the story of Ajamila. This is followed by a very long and not so important story as to who the story is about. It is about an asura known as Vritra. It is about the war, the battle that took place between Indra and Vritrasura. The Devas were always more powerful than the Asuras, but once Indra lost all the power that he had. and Vritrasura was about to win over him. But finally, due to the aid of Bhagavan Vishnu, he was able to win over Vritra. But this is not said to be the story of how Indra won over Vritra. It is called Vritra Charitra. Because whatever Vritra spoke in these few adhyayas, he is going to teach us many things. Till now, Narada has given Upadesha, Maitreya, Shaunaka, Suta, they have all given teachings. Now, an Asura by the name Vritra is going to teach us how one should live, how a true devotee should live. That is the story that is being narrated here. Indra's Tribhuvana Aishwarya, Madollanghita Satpataha, Marudbhir Vasubhi Rudraihi, Adityir Ribhubhir Nripa, Sa Yada Paramacharya Devanam Atmanaschaha, Nabhyavandata Sampraptam, Pratyuthana Asanadivihi. Now, Brihaspati is the Acharya of all the Devas. Once, Indra was sitting on his throne in his Rajasabha in Swarga, and Brihaspati enters the Rajasabha. Ideally, he should have stood up, he should have offered an asana to his own Guru. Brihaspati is the Guru of all Devas and Indra also. He should have given whatever reverence was due to him. But Indra, due to his arrogance, by his beauty, by his enjoyment, by his power and his own merit, he did not even stand up when his Guru entered the scene, and he was still sitting there. Seeing this, Brihaspati realized that he was not being respected. He went back to his house. Immediately, Indra realized his folly. He knew that unless the Acharya Anugraha is present, he will lose all the greatness that he has. Realizing this, he ran immediately to see Brihaspati. He was not in a mood to meet Indra. He was angry. He immediately disappeared. So wherever Indra searched for him, he was not able to find Brihaspati. The minute this happened, all the Asuras took advantage of this. They realized that Indra did not have the favor of Brihaspati anymore. Without the favor of an Acharya, even you have Bhagavata Anugraha, you will not be able to win over your enemies or cross hurdles. So, taking this opportunity, the Asuras immediately attacked Swarga. They defeated Indra and all the other Devatas also. Indra went running to Brahma. He said, I need somebody to help me. I don't have an Acharya. Unless I have the blessings and the Upadesha of an Acharya, I won't be able to win over him. Therefore, I need a new Acharya. Brihaspati is not giving teachings to me anymore. I need a new Acharya. Brahma guides him to take the son of Kvashta, who is known as Vishwarupa, to be his Guru. Tad Vishwarupam Bhajatashu Vipram Tapasvinam Tvashtram Athatmavantam Sabhajitorthansa Vidhasya Devaha Yadi Kshamishyattvam Utasya Karma. Indra, it is very bad that you have disrespected your Acharya. So now temporarily you go to the son of Kvashta, Kvashta is one of the Devatas. His son is Vishwarupa, who was a very great priest. They went to him and asked him to be their priest, and he agreed. He initially refused, saying, you have disrespected a great Guru. If I now accept to be your Guru, then it means that I do not respect Brihaspati also. Then finally they spoke to him, Vritah Purohitas Tvashtraha Mahendraya Anuprachate Narayanakhyam Varmaha Tadihai Kaikamaha Shrunu Na Garhanti Kyartheshu Yavishtankri Avivadanam Chandobhyonyatra Na Brahman Vayo Jaishtasya Karanam. Indra fell at Vishwarupa's feet, even though he was a very much younger person. He begged him, pleaded to him, and finally Vishwarupa agreed to be the teacher. And he taught Indra the Narayana Kavacham or the Narayana Varma. It is a set of shlokas. It is how you must perform dhyana and request Bhagavan to protect you from all types of problems, all hardships that you may face. This Narayana Kavacham was earlier taught by Narayana himself to his devotees, and through Narada and others, this person Vishwarupa has learned that Kavacham, and he now recites that to Indra. He says, Om Harir Vidadhyatmama Sarvaraksham Nyastangripadma Patagendra Prishthe Darari Charmasi Gada Ishu Chapa Pashan Dadhanaha Ashtaguno Ashtabahuhu Jaleshu Mam Rakshatu Matsyamurtihi Matsyamurtihi Yado Ganebhya Varunasya Pashat Sthaleshu Mayavatu Vamanobhyat Trivikrama Khevatu Vishwarupaha. The stotram goes as follows. Let Matsyamurti protect me in water. Let Vamanamurti protect me on land. Let Trivikrama protect me in the sky. Durgeshu Atavyam Ajimukhadishu Prabhu Payan Nrisimhaha Asura Yutha Parihi Ramaha Adri Kuteshwata Vipravase Swadamshtronnita Dharo Varaha. Let Varaha protect me on paths or yajnas that I follow. Let Rama protect me on all the hilltops. Saying so, on each and every place, each and every anga of our body, we request Paramatma, who is in different forms, to protect us. Narasimha, Vishnu, Parashurama, all these avatars are pleaded to protect the body and protect our soul when we go through war or something. Similarly, the day is divided into many parts. He says, Mam, Keshavo, Gadaya, Pratarapya. We refer to different portions of the day. Prataha, then Asanga Kala, Paranha Kala, Madhyanna Kala, Devaha, Aparanhe, Madhuhogradhanva, Sayam Tridhamavatu Madhavo Mam, Deshe Hrishikesha Uttardharatre, Nishitha Ekovatu Padmanabhaha. You split the day into many parts. First 6, there are totally 60 muhurtas to the day. That is split into many parts. The first 6, the next 6, and so on. The day is split into 5. Then the night time needs another protector. So in all places, at all times and all parts of my body, we plead to Bhagavan and praise him that he should protect us. This is the Narayana Kavacham. And we also request the Ayudhams of Bhagavan to protect us. Chakram, Yugantanala Tikmano Nemi, Brahmat Samantat Bhagavat Prayuktam, Dandagni Ari Sainyamashu, Kaksham Yatha Vatasako Hutashaha. Just like fire can destroy anything in its path, we request Sudarshana Chakra to destroy all the enemy armies that we have. Spurat Sahasrara Shikhati Tivram, Sudarshanam Bhaskara Koti Tulyam. It is as luminous as 1,000 suns that are represented in the sky, and it is very sharp. It is capable of cutting through everything. So we request Shankha, we request Chakra, Kaumodaki, Daitya Kulaika Hantrim. All the Pancha Ayudhas are requested that they should protect us. Yenno Bhayam Grahebhyaha Abhut, Ketubhyo Nribhya Evacha, Sarisripebhyaha Damshtribhyaha, Bhutebhyaha Ahobhya Evacha. Serpents, other wild animals, other humans, Devatas, the Grahas, the Navagrahas, any one of these might harm us. We request Bhagavan to protect us from everything. Garudo Bhagavan Stotra, Stobhas Chandomaya Prabhu, Rakshat Yavasheshakrit Shrevyaha, Vishwaksena Swanamhabhihi. We finally request the Vahana of Bhagavan Garuda. Garuda is said to be the Vedas personified, and he, with his sharp beaks and talons, is capable of killing many asuras. When Bhagavan Krishna goes to battle with Narakasura, he got on top of Garuda and went to war. More than Krishna, it was Garuda who decimated the armies. Alvar in one of his Pausharams says, on the beak of Garuda there is a blood stain. Karayani Mukudai Pullai Kadavi Asurai Kaindavamman. Karai Ani Muku. The beak of Garuda is always stained with blood because he kills all the enemies of Bhagavan and his devotees. He says that a blood stain is usually not something great. It is not revered. But Alvar says, Karai Ani Muku. It is like an ornament to the beak of Garuda because he is not killing devotees. He is using his beak to decimate the enemies of Bhagavan and his devotees. So that itself is an ornament. Karayani Mukudai. So we pray to Ananta, Vishwaksena, Garuda, the Pancha Ayudhas, Bhagavan in his various forms, and to protect us at all times and in all places. Finally, using this Kavacha, Indra had now regained whatever he had lost. Ya idam shrunuyat kale yo dharayati chadritaha tam namasyanti bhutani muchyate sarvato bhayad etam vidyam adhigataha vishwarupat chadakratuhu trailokya lakshmim bubuje vinirjatya mridhe asuran. Using the newfound power of this Kavacha, Indra went to war again. He destroyed all the asuras. He got back the wealth of the 3 worlds. He now continued to rule over Bhuvaha and Suvaha, and Vishwarupa continued to be their priest. He was the teacher now. While Indra was performing some sacrifices, this Vishwarupa had a small, slight or a soft corner for the Asuras also, because he was related to them. The Devas and Asuras were just cousins. This Vishwarupa is the son of Tvashta, who is a Devata. So the Asuras on the other side were also his cousins and brothers in one way. So he had a soft corner for them. While performing a yajna for Indra, the Havir Bhaga must be offered only to the Devas. But what this Vishwarupa did was, a small portion he kept giving to the Asuras on the side so that they will also regain their strength. Sayevahi dadau bhagam paroksham asuran prati yajamanaha abahad bhagam matra sneha vashanugaha. He was so he had a soft corner, and so on the side, without Indra, the master of the yajna, knowing, he started to give Havirbhaga to the asuras. They started gaining strength. The minute Indra came to know of this, he cut off the head of Vishwarupa and immediately killed him. This angered the god Tvashta, because his son had been killed by Indra. Tvashta, in his rage, started to perform a yajna in which he wanted to create a new asura who is capable of killing Indra himself. He says, Dedipyamane Trishike Shula Aropya Rodasi Atha Anvaharya Pachanat Uthito Ghoradarsanaha Indra Shatro Vivardhasva Machiram Jagi Vidvisham Ataputras Tatastvashta Juhava Indraya Shatrave. Tvashta now considered Indra to be his enemy. He performed a yajna, and from that fire, from the Anvaharya Pachana fire in which the yaga was performed, a gruesome form came out. That person was known as Vritra. He is referred to as Vritrasura. He was so large with a black body and red eyes that immediately everybody was afraid of him. Dedipyamane Trishike Shule Aropya Rodasi Nrityantam Unnadantam Cha Chalayantam Madamahim. He had a great shula in his hand. The minute he put his foot forward, the whole bhumi started to tremble. All the devatas were afraid. They did not know how to kill him also. Mahata Raudra Damshtrena Jrimbhamanam Muhurmuhu Vitrasta Dudruvar Loka Viksha Sarve Dishodasha Tataste Vismitas Sarve Vishanna Grasta Tejasaha Pratyancham Adi Purusham Upatastus Samahitaha. Immediately, the same old story. They did not know what to do. They started to meditate upon Paramatma and asked for his help. He immediately appeared there. Tameva Devam Vayam Atma Devatam Param Pradhanam Purusham Vishwamanyam Vrajama Sarve Sharanam Sharanyam Swanam Sano Dhasyati Sham Mahatma. They called Vishnu there. They praised him by many shlokas and finally asked him that this Vritra is unsurmountable by any of us. I don't think even Indra will be able to kill him. We now need another power. Narayana Kavacha was enough to kill all the other asuras, but this Vritra is so powerful that even that is not sufficient. We need a new weapon by which we can kill him. Then Vishnu suggests an option. Maghavan Yata Bhadram Vaha Dadhyancham Rishi Sattamam Vidyaprata Tapassaram Gatram Yachatam Achiram. Bhagavan says, there is a rishi by the name of Dadhichi. You please go to that rishi. He has a very strong body. So, if he sacrifices his body for you, you take the spinal cord from his body and using that, Vishwakarma will be able to fashion a new weapon which can be known as the Vajrayudha. The Vajrayudha that Indra holds is made from the spinal bones of this Dadhichi. Bhagavan said, this is the only option unless you have the strong bones of Dadhichi, and I will also impart my tejas into that weapon. Using that weapon, you will be able to kill Vritra. Indra immediately went to Dadhichi. He said, why should I help you? Then Indra again talks to him a lot. He says, we are all falling at your feet. We are all older than you. But even then, it is only you who can save us. He says, helping others who are in distress is one of the greatest dharmas that is possible. I am asking of you a very great thing, a very noble thing. But if you do that, you will be remembered forever and ever by us always. We will revere you always. Finally, Dadhichi agrees. He gives up his body and he attains moksha. He is a very devoted person. He attains Vaikuntham. And the spinal bone is picked up from his body. Vishwakarma uses that to break a huge weapon. And Bhagavan gives his stages, pours his stages into that weapon. Now Indra is ready to go to war against Vritra. Atha Indro Vajra Buddhyamya Nirmitam Vishwakarmana Mune Shaktibir Utsiktaha Bhagavat Tejasanvitaha. The power of the bones of Dadhichi along with the Tejas power of Bhagavan and the fashioning the skill of Vishwakarma has now made the Vajrayudha. He picks this up and goes to war. All the asuras are now afraid of him. They start to run away and this Vritra tries to stop them. What he says to try and stop them is the surprising part. He says, Jatasya mrityur dhruvayesha sarvataha pratikriya yasya nacheha kripta loko yashashchata yato yadithyamum konama mrityum na vrinita yuktam. What should he have said? He should have said, if you win over the devatas, you will have a lot of wealth. You will be very glorious. People will sing your praises. He should have said this to the asuras. What he says is, oh asuras, do you not know that this body is temporary? It is anyway going to die at one point of time. Any being that is born has to die on some day. So, do not think that you can escape death. Instead, this is a great war. there are only two good ways to give up a body, he says. One, be devoted to Bhagavan, perform yoga, and by that bhakti yoga attain mukti. This is one good way to give up a body. The second way is to die in battle. These are the only two glorious ways to die. So he invites everyone. They are still afraid. They don't want to come fight with Indra. So a gruesome battle starts between Indra and Vritra alone. Vilokyatam vajradhadaha atyamarshitaha swashatrave abhidravade mahagadam chikshepatam apatatim sudussaham jagraha vamena karena leelaya. In this battle, Indra picks up his gada and throws it at Vritrasura, thinking he will kill him. Vritrasura very easily catches hold of it with his left hand, comes running towards Indra and smashes the Airavata, the elephant, on its head. Airavata immediately falls down, blood gushing out of its head, and Indra also falls down. Now he realizes that Vritra is a very powerful person and he has to fight with him. He finally says, Dishtya bhavan me samavasthito ripuhu yo brahmaha guruha bhratraha cha kritshrena machula vibhinna deham aspashtavanhim samadanti gridraha nanvesha vajrastava shakra tejasa harer dadhiches tapasata tejitaha tenaiva shatrum jagi vishnu yantritaha yato harihi vijaya shrir gunastataha. He starts talking to Indra, saying, "Oh Indra, you can come kill me now. I know that I am going to lose this battle. When Vishnu is on your side, then there is no question about where wealth or victory or glory is going to be." The same was uttered by Sanjaya. Yatra Yogeshwara Krishnaha, Yatra Partho Dhanurdharaha, Tatra Shrir Vijayo Bhutir Dhruva Nitir Matir Mama. Wherever Krishna and Arjuna are present, Tatra Shrihi, wealth, Vijaya, victory, Bhuti. Bhuti is abundance, affluence. Dhruva Nitir Matir Mama. This is true. I consider this to be true. Wherever Krishna is, that side is going to be victorious. So now Vritra says, I know that you are going to kill me, but it is my fortune that Vishnu had to interfere in this for you to kill me. Without his aid, you could have never come to battle against me. So I know that this is inevitable. Aham Hare Tava Padaika Mula Dasanudaso Bhavitasmi Bhuyaha Manasmareta Asupater Gunanste Granita Vak Karma Karotu Kayaha. The next 4 shlokas that Vritra chants, that Vritra utters, are showing the devotion that an asura has towards Bhagavan. He starts talking to Bhagavan directly. He says, I am once again going to become your own devotee. Aham Hare Tava Padaika Mula Dasanudasaha. I want to be the servant of your divine feet. I don't want to be the first servant. I want to stand behind a devotee of yours and through them perform service to you. Manaha smareta asupader gunamste. I want to think about your gunas forever. I feel that they are very sweet to think about. I don't want anything else in this world. I am going to come back to the old devotion that I had forgot. Na nakaprishtam na cha parameshtyam na sarvabhaumam na rasadhipatyam na yoga siddhir apunarbhavam va samanjasatva virahayya kamshe. He said, if I am separated from you, I don't want to experience any other pleasure. Na nakaprishtam, neither swarga nor the whole sarvabhaumam, ruling over this whole piece of land, this whole bhumi, or even the padavi of Indra, of Brahma. I don't consider them to be great if I am separated from you. If I am with you, I do not want any other pleasures. If I am separated from you, any pleasure, any great wealth that I accumulate is of no use to me. These are words that you should usually expect people like Lakshmana or Sita to utter. Lakshmana says, Na devalokakkramanam namaratvam aham vrine aishwaryam chapi lokanam kamaye natvaya vina. When Rama says, I will go to the forest, you stay in Ayodhya and look after Dasharatha and Kausalya. He says, if I am separated from you, Ayodhya is not going to be interesting for me. Na devalokakramam. I don't want Swarga. I don't want this world. I don't even want the Vaikuntha if I have to be separated from you. These words that we would expect from a person like Lakshmana are being uttered by Vritrasura. Priyam priyeva bhushitam vishanna manoravindaksha didrikshate tvam. My eyes are longing to look at you. I have been looking at so many other things. I have now realized that the true purpose of the eyes is to look at you, behold your divine form and do service to you. I want to reach that place again. So, hereafter, don't make me associate with people who are involved in worldly pleasures. Please give me association with those who are always in your service. Mama Uttama Shloka Janeshu Sakhyam Samsara Chakre Bhamata Swakarma Vihi. I have been going around and around in samsara due to my karma. Now I beg of you, please make me associate with people who are always devoted to you. Do not make me associate with those who are Tvan Mayaya Atma Atmaja Dara Geheshu Asakta Chittasya. Those who are interested in their well-being, this body, their wealth, their possessions, their relatives, son, wife, daughter, etc. I don't want to be associated with such people. I want to come attain you immediately. I want to have your darshan. I want to perform service to you. Hearing these words coming out of Vritra, Indra did not understand what was happening at all. He thought this was an evil person whom he had to kill. Now he realized that he is a bhakta while being a demon. He is an asura, but at the same time a very great devotee. He was not able to reconcile the two, but still he praises Vritrasura. Bhavan Atarshin Mayam Vai Vaishnavim Janamohinim Yad Vihaya Asuram Bhavam Mahapurushatam Gataha. He says, although you were born as an asura, you have gotten rid of that asura instinct in you and you have now become a great devotee. Indra bows down to Vritra saying, you are now a great devotee who has surpassed the samsara itself. Once you realize that anything in this world is not going to give you lasting happiness and only the feet of Bhagavan are eternal, then you have even crossed this samsara sakra. Therefore Indra bows down to Vritra and finally it is his duty to kill Vritrasura. He cuts off both of his hands and he pushes the sword, the Vajrayudha into his belly and pushes the sword up and cuts off his head also. Vritrasura dies and Indra is now again regained all his wealth. He has no enemies and he goes back to Swarga. Now, hearing all this, the Raja Parikshit is bewildered. He does not understand how these words came out of the mouth of Vritrasura, who was an asura by birth. So he asked Shukracharya, how was it possible? An asura is supposed to have tamasic tendencies. He should always be deluded. He should always be angry. And asura is one who cannot tolerate the glory or the greatness in others. Whenever I am a good person, I don't have jealousy. Then if I learn that there is a great bhakta, there is someone who is capable of performing a lot of service, I would feel happy for them. If I feel sad or jealous, that means I have an asuric tendency. So, Vritrasura is not supposed to accept that Paramatma is the supreme ruler. But he has been saying that I want to attain you, I am going to come back to my old devoted self. I have fallen down from that stage, now I come back to my devoted self. Parikshit did not know what was going on. So she asked Shukracharya, what is the backstory? There is something that has gone on behind this. Vritrasura cannot be a mere asura. He must have taken this birth due to some previous story. Please tell me what that story is. So now Shukracharya narrates that there was once a person, Asid Raja Sarvabhaumaha Chitraketu Ritikhyataha Yasyatsit Kamadhum Mahi. There was a king known as Chitraketu. That Chitraketu met a rishi known as Angiras and he wanted to have children. Apite anamayam swasti prakritinam tathatmanaha lakshaye alabdhakamam tvam chintaya shabalam mukham ityarthitasya bhagavan kripalur brahmanas sutaha shrapayitva charum tvashtram tvashtaram ajayat vibuhu. Angiras once came to the city, to the nagara of Chitraketu, and Chitraketu had all wealth that was necessary. He had no enemies. He should have been leading a content and happy life. But when Angiras looked at Chitraketu, he was so sad. There was no beauty in his face at all. So Angiras asks him, what is wrong with you? Do you have some regret? He says, I have everything else. But without a child, all the wealth that I have is useless. I don't feel like enjoying them at all. So I want to have a child. Angiras immediately fastened a charu and performs a yajna towards Tvashta, and that gives the payasa which he gives to his wife. They bear a child. Krishto Raja Kumarasya Snata Shuchiralankritaha Vachayitva Ashisho Vipraihi Karayamasa Jatakam. The king was very happy. He had many wives, hundreds of wives. But one wife alone bore a child, and that child was born by the blessing of Angiras and Tvashta the deity. Now all the other wives of this Chitraketu started growing jealous because he started spending time only with his first wife who had a child. He was so engrossed with the child that he did not want to spend time with anyone else. So all the other 99 wives grew jealous of not him but the small child. So when he had gone away and the mother was also not present, they poisoned the child and he immediately died. When he came back, Chitraketu came back and realized what has happened. he immediately felt distraught, he fell down and started lamenting. His mother, the boy's mother also started lamenting. At that point of time, Narada and Angiras come there. Angiras was the person who gave the child to him. Now the same Angiras comes back and starts to preach to him that it is true that having a child is a great happiness in this world, but do not lose all your enthusiasm just because of this. They start to say, Poyam Syat Tava Rajendra. The first word that Narada and Angiras say is, O king, who is he to you? This child who is now dead, who is he to you? The king answers, he is my son. The rishi says, who is your son? You are an Atma who has taken a birth in this body, in this Rajyam right now. In the previous birth, you had no connection with that boy. In the next birth, you are going to have no connection with that boy. All associations that we have, who we call as relatives, son, daughter, mother, father, etc., are mere acquaintances that we have for a short period of time. When we travel in a train, we meet someone, we talk to them for a few hours, we get down, we don't remember them for the next 50 years and think about their well-being. So the Rishi says, why are you worried about this person dying? Because you are in no way connected to him. Yatha kashthancha kashthancha. You go to Badrikashrama, there is a Gandaki Nadi that flows down from Badrik. There is the Alakananda Bhagirathi river that flows there. There are some trees, huge trees on top of Badri, which are cut down and the wood has to be transported down for other purposes. Now, if you keep a truck and you bring all the wood down, it is very costly. So what the people do there is, since the Bhagirathi is flowing down anyway, they cut large pieces of wood and throw the log into the river. The river will slowly carry the pieces of wood down. Finally, when it reaches Haridwar or some plains, they collect all the wooden parts and they take it out. So the cost of transportation is now cut down. The river will naturally bring it down, whatever you put into it. Now, when you look at how the logs travel, the Rishi says, for a few miles, suppose there are 10 logs in the river, 5 logs will go together, another 5 logs will be traveling together. Suddenly when there is a waterfall, all this will be disturbed. 2 logs from this group will now move to this side. 3 logs from this cluster will move to the other side. They will travel like this for a few more miles. Then again they will hit a rock. They will be jumbled out. They will travel in another formation. So the Rishi says, this formation is all that you have in this world. You will spend some time with this Atma. In your next birth with another Atma. In the third birth with another Atma. So you are not connected with any Atma directly. That does not mean that we are not connected at all. The Rishi says, you are all connected through the central Paramatma. We are all devotees of Paramatma. So you are not a mother, father, servant or to anything to anybody. But you are all servants of the same Paramatma. So you must look out for the well-being of everyone. But not worry that anybody is harmed specifically. So he says, Koyam syat tava Rajendra, Bhavan yam anushochati, Tvam chasya katamas srishtau, Uredanim itah param, Yatha prayanti sanyanti, Sroto vegena valukaha. In the speed, in the current of a river, just as logs are traveling in clusters, in different clusters at different points of time, similarly, Atmas are traveling in one another. So do not worry about this. You do not have to weep so much for the loss of your boy. They explain about the Atma and the differentiation between Atma and the Deha, and finally this person calms down. But while listening to their recital, the Upadesha of the Rishis, the 99 wives who had poisoned that child, they now regret their action. So they plead to Narada and Angiras, and all 100 wives and the Raja Chitraketu, they all go to a forest, perform some penances there, and Chitraketu is able to behold Narayana. Narayana himself comes there and shows himself to Chitraketu, and they have a beautiful conversation about bhakti, vairagyam, etc. Then Bhagavan offers that he can spend some more time in this world as a great Siddha Purusha, as an enlightened being, and at the end of his life, he can come to Vaikuntha once again. He can go attain Vaikuntha. While he was roaming like this, once upon a time, Shiva, along with Parvati and all of his parishad, was walking along somewhere. Shiva was embracing Parvati and walking on the path. He was surrounded by many rishis and bhutaganas also. This person, this Chitraketu, who was traveling over him, traveling in the sky, saw Shiva and immediately came down and spoke ill of him. Yesha loka guru sakshat dharmam vakta sharirinam aste mukhya sabhaya anvai mithuni bhuya bharyaya jatadharas tivra tapaha brahmavadi sabhapatihi angikritya striyam chaste gatahrihi prakrito yatha. Chitraketu starts to insult Shiva. he mocks him saying, oh, look at the great Guru, look at the great Tapasvi, who is not even letting go of his wife's hand in the Sabha. He is not even holding, embracing her in his confines of his house. He is doing so in the middle of all these rishis. Jatadharas Tivra Tapaha. He must be a very great Tapasvi. He is not able to let go of his wife. He must be a great Vidya Guru. He does not even know that relationships are temporary. Angikritya Striyam Chaste Gata Krihi. He has no shyness, no regret at all. He is going with his wife in the midst of everyone, embracing her. Saying so, he started to insult Shiva. Shiva did not take it to mean anything wrong. He took it jokingly and did not worry about it. But Parvati Devi was enraged. Ayam ki madhuna loke shasta dandadara prabhu atah papiyasim yonim asurim yahi durmade sambhavitamati stabdha sadhubhih paryupasitam. Parvati says, we thought you were an enlightened devotee, but seeing how you have been talking now, you are not worthy of attaining Vaikuntham at all. So Parvati gave him a curse that he will be born as an asura who starts to fight against the devas also. Even then, Chitraketu was not perturbed at all. He starts to preach to Parvati saying, I don't care whether you give me a curse or not. I am here because of karma. I have to experience the fruits of my karma. Whether it is anugraha or shapa, it does not matter. Whether it is sukham or dukkham, it does not matter. Whether it is victory or defeat, it does not matter to me. I am going to lead this life as a devotee of Bhagavan. Anything that you say is not going to bother me. Guna pravaha yetasmin kas shapaha ko anugraha kas swargaha naraha kova kim sukham dukkham evava. Be it swarga or naraka, be it sukham or dukkham, be it anugraha or shapa, nothing is going to affect me. I am here because of my karma. I will have to spend some more time here. Whatever dukkham I experience, I don't bother about that. Finally, I am going to attain Vaikuntham. Saying so, then he apologized to Parvati. He said, I have committed a mistake. I apologize to you for this. Please forgive me. And he went on. Then Shiva says, he starts talking to Parvati. Drishtastvamasi sushroni harer adbhuta karmanaha mahatmyam bhritya bhrityanam nisprihanam mahatmanam. Now Shiva says to Parvati, Parvati, you thought that when you cursed him, he would feel sad and he would fall at your feet and beg to you to somehow alleviate that curse. Now do you understand what is the greatness of the devotees of Bhagavan? They do not care about anything. Sukha and dukkha are no matter to them. Whatever you curse them, they are not going to fall at anybody else's feet. They have caught hold of Bhagavan's feet and they have no bhayam in this world. Swarga apavarga narakeshvapi tulyartha darshinaha. Swarga, moksha, naraka. They view all the three as same because wherever they are thinking about Bhagavan. They are singing his names. They are always happy. They do not bother whether they are in this world. They are happy here because even without your curse, this samsara is not going to let us go without experiencing displeasure or dukkham. Even with this curse, he is going to experience some dukkham. So Chitraketu was not worried about that at all. Parvati also understood the greatness of a bhakta. Iti Bhagavato devyaha pratishaptum alam tamaha murdhna sanchaghe shapam yedavat sadhu lakshanam. Shuka says this is the mark of a sadhu, of a noble person. Although Chitraketu was powerful enough to give a return curse to Parvati. Since Parvati cursed him, he was powerful enough to curse her back. But he held his tongue, he apologized to her, he accepted whatever curse she had given and went off on his way. He says, this is the mark of a sadhu. When you want to do something good, even if others hurt you, don't be bothered by that. You try to help as much as possible. Even if they hurt you, do not be perturbed. You must never lose your temper or lose your calm and go on your path. Itihasam imam punyam Chitraketor mahatmanaha mahatmyam vishnu bhaktanam shrutva bandhat pramuchyate. Listening to the story of Chitraketu, who lived a great life as a devotee of Bhagavan, all our sins are also removed. And we will also get the same mental state that he was in. So Shuka narrates the story of Chitraketu and finally says, this Chitraketu was born as the Vritrasura. Vritra did not come out from somewhere, his devotion was not unfounded. He had been a great devotee as Chitraketu for many years. Due to the shapa of Parvati, he had now taken birth as Vritrasura, and finally when he was about to die, he was happy that he was again going to be devoted to Bhagavan, and he accepted being killed by Indra and attained mukti also. This was the story in the 6th skandha of the Bhagavata Puranam. And now we start with the 7th skandha, which starts with the story of Prahlada and Narasimha. Which time do we have? Now, in the beginning of the 7th skandha, Parikshit asks a question to Shukacharya. He says, if Vritra is such an evil person, how can he attain mukti? Shuka answers that since he had been thinking about the feet of Bhagavan, about his glory, whatever birth he is in, whatever sins he had committed before this, they will all not matter, he will be able to attain mukti. While explaining this, he gives a beautiful example. Evam Krishne Bhagavati Maya Manuja Ishware Vairena Puta Papmanaha Tam Apur Anuchintaya. Even those who consider Bhagavan to be their enemy, if they constantly think about Bhagavan, it is possible that they too attain mukti. He says, Kamat, Dveshat, Bhayat, Snehat, Yatha Bhaktya Ishware Manaha, Aveshya Tadagam Hitva, Bahavas Tadgatim Gataha. It is not true that only if you think about Paramatma with devotion, your sins will be removed. He says, Kamat, you can look at him with lust, Dveshat, with enmity, Bhayat, out of fear for him, or Snehat, with a lot of affection, or Bhaktya. Bhakti is adoration. It is love, devotion. Sneha is what an elder person shows to a younger person. Bhakti and Sneha are two different things. An elder person shows Bhakti to a younger person. Love is nothing other than Bhakti. Love is between equals, or what a lesser person shows to a greater person. It is adoration, reverence. So he says any one of these is sufficient. You must continue to think about Bhagavan. It might be out of fear, it might be out of enmity, it might be out of lust or love or even sneha. Whatever you do, there is an example for who attain mukti. Kamad, then gopyah kamad, bhayat kamsaha, dveshat chaityadayon nripaha, sambandhat vrishnaya snehat, yuyam bhaktya vayam vibho. Narada preaches that by each of these methods, those who have constantly thought about Bhagavan have attained mukti. Kamat gopyaha, all the gopikas of Vrindavana, they wanted to conjoin with Bhagavan. They wanted to attain him as their husband and live a life with him out of lust. So Kamat gopyaha, then Bhayat kamsaha. Kamsaha was constantly thinking about Krishna because he had sent all the asuras whom he had with him, from Putana to Skeshi, all of them had died. He was now afraid that his end had come near. He constantly thought about Krishna for those 10 years when Krishna lived in Gokula. Krishna was happily living with all the other cowherds. He did not think about Kamsa at all. But what was told in the world was, Krishna went into hiding out of fear for Kamsa. He was not afraid at all. He stopped thinking about Kamsa the minute he went to Gokula. He was happily enjoying with all the cowherds and the cows. But Kamsa sitting in Mathura was constantly thinking about Bhagavan because of fear. Bhayat Kamsaha, Dveshat Chaityadayon Nripaha. Chaitya is none other than Shishupala. Shishupala used to curse Bhagavan all the time. But to curse someone, you have to think about them all the time. Even your enemy, if you think about him always, that thought, mere thought of Bhagavan is capable of removing all sins. Sambandhat Vrishnaya Snehat Yuyam. This is told by Narada to Yudhishthira when the Rajasuya Yajna takes place. He says, the Vrishtis, those who are in the clan of Bhagavan Sri Krishna, are always thinking about him because they are related to him. Sambandhat Vrishnayaha. Yuyam Snehat. The Pancha Pandavas are always thinking about Bhagavan due to Sneha, friendship. Vayam Bhaktya. Narada says, I and a few other devotees are always thinking about him because of devotion. So be it fear or devotion or enmity or lust or friendship or just mere association sambandha, whatever it may be, thinking about Bhagavan is enough to give Vaikuntha. Ekada Brahmana Putraha Vishnor Lokam Yadrichaya. Saying this, he clarifies the end of the previous. How Vritra could have been a devoted person. He says, anybody who thinks about Bhagavan in any birth will develop devotion. That devotion will not go away. Even if you are born as an Asura, Vibhishana was born as a Rakshasa, but he was a Nalla Asura. He was not a bad Asura, he was a good Asura who was always devoted to Rama. So the birth that we take does not decide everything. Everything is not predestined. We have the power to change whatever course we have taken. It is true that in the birth of a Rakshasa as an Asura, we are not a Rakshasa and Asura. A Rakshasa and Asura, or even we who have Tamoguna, will be inclined to go against Bhagavan and garner enmity towards him. But it is possible for any person in any birth to change his ways, to realize who Bhagavan is and come fall surrender at his feet and attain mukti also. So after having explained this, he again starts to explain how Narasimha Avatara took place. He continues from the story of Varaha Avatara. he recounts how Sanaka and his brothers had gone to Vaikuntham. They wanted to meet Vishnu. Jaya and Vijaya stopped them, and so they were cursed that they would take 3 births consecutively in this world. And Vishnu said he will take birth again thrice, and he will be the one to kill them. The first paryaya, the first time they took birth was as Hiranyaksha and Hiranyakashipu. Hiranyaksha was killed by Varahavatara when he uplifted Bhumi. Now Hiranyakashipu was enraged. Bhratariyevam vinihate harina krodamurtina Hiranyakashipu rajan paryatapya drushasucha machula bhinna grivasya bhurina rudhirena vai rudhirapriyam tarpayishye bhrataram me gatapyataha. He was very angry that Krishna, Bhagavan had killed him in the form of a boar, and he wanted to take revenge. He called all the asuras who were at his beck and call and started to motivate them. He said, I am going to go to war with Vishnu, and I am going to pierce him with this shula. His blood is going to flow out. With that blood, I am going to perform tarpanam for my Hiranyaksha, my brother. Only then his soul will be content. Atma tripti adayu. So for him to be content, I have to do tarpana for him with the blood of Vishnu. So I am going to go to war with him. But as he is, Vishnu is very powerful for me to fight with him. So what he starts to do is, Vishnu Dvijakriya Mulaha Yajno Dharmamaya Kuman Devarishi Pitrabhutanam Dharmasya cha Parayanam Yatra Yatra Dvija Gavo Veda Varnashrama Kriyaha Tam Tam Janapadam Yata Sandipayata Vrishchata. Hiranyakashipu says, Vishnu is standing strong on all the penances, the yajnas, the dana, homa, that good people, noble souls in this world are doing. Suppose you stop all this, you put a stop, you somehow hinder the protection of cows, the performance of penances, the performance of yajnas, and you start to bother cows and brahmanas and everyone in this world who are devotees, then Vishnu's power is going to reduce. He got it the other way. In truth, all these activities, Vedic deeds go on because of the blessings of Vishnu. But he thought that Vishnu is standing with such strength only because these activities are going on. If we stop these activities, he will lose strength, and then Hiranyakashipu will be able to go fight with him. So he urged all his followers, Tam Tam Janapadam Yata Sandipayata Vrishchata Nitya Atmamaya Shuddha. Then once he sent all his servants to go fight with all the noble souls, he went to a hilltop and started performing penances. Hiranyakashipu Rajan Ajeyam Ajaramaram Atmanam Apratitvandvam Ekarajam Vyaditsata Satepe Mandara Dronyam Tapaf Paramadarunam Urdhva Babu Nabho Drishtihi Padangusthashritavanihi. He stood on just one toe on the thumb of his foot, and he folded the other foot. He raised his hands into the air, looked at the sky, and started to perform penance for many thousands of years. Chukshubhur Nadyudanvantaha Sadvipadrish Chachalabhuhu Nipetus Sagrahas Taraha Jajvaluscha Disho Dasha. By his penance, it was so cruel, it was so gruesome that all the world started to shake. When you perform penance, Krishna says there are 3 modes in which you can perform: Sattvika penance, Rajasa penance, and Tamasa penance. This is shown in the 17th chapter, Gunatraya Vibhaga of the Bhagavad Gita. He says Sattvika tapas is where you do not want to get any material fruits, material benefits. You just want to please Bhagavan. He has prescribed tapas in the Vedas. So without expecting any fruits in return, if you perform tapas, it is said to be Sattvika tapas. Rajasa is explained. He says Ashastra Vihitam Ghoram Tapyante Ye Tapo Janaha Dambha Ahankara Samyuktaha Kama Raga Samanvitaha Mudha Grahena Atmanaha Atmano Yascha Ipidaya Kriyate Tapaha Parasya Utsadanartham Va Tat Tamasa Mudakritam. Any tapas that is performed out of kama or dvesha in order to defeat someone else, parasya utsadanartham yadu, someone that is done to defeat someone else or cause harm to someone, is a tamasa tapas. Hiranyakashipu starts to perform. Even if it is tamasa, it is a shastric tapas. It is a Vedic deed. So he starts to perform tapas. People are not able to bear the cruelty of that tapas. People start to go to Brahma and ask him to somehow end this. Brahma appears in front of Hiranyakashipu. He asks Hiranyakashipu, what you want? He starts to ask for many boons one after the other. Nantar bahir diva naktam anyasmadapi chayudhaihi na bhumau nambare mrityuhu na nanair na mrigairapi. says, I should not be killed by humans, neither by animals. I should not be killed on the ground, nor in the sky. I should not be killed by weapons. I should not be killed by living beings, neither by non-living beings. I should not be killed within the house or outside the house. He put all combinations possible. Instead of just asking that I should be immortal, he said, I want to not die in the land, not on the ground, not in the sky, not by a living thing, not by a non-living thing. Surasura mahoragaihi, not by asuras, not by devas, not by naga, yaksha, kinnara and everything. As he started to pile on and on, Brahma started to grow wary. He was afraid that this person is going to become immortal. He is not going to be killed by anybody at all. Finally, after narrating all this, Hiranyakashipu says one word, Yadi dasyasya abhimatan varanme varadottamam bhutebhyaha tvad visrishtebhyaha mrityur mamun mama prabho. He says, oh Chaturmukha Brahma, if you are really inclined to give me what I seek, the vara that I seek, then give me this boon. I should not be killed by any being that is created by you. He thought that Brahma is the supreme creator. Bhutebhyaha tvad visrishtebhyaha. He says, nobody that has been created by you should be able to kill me. Only then Brahma gave a sigh of relief. He said, there is one person who created me. All whom I have created, even if they can't kill you, there is one Paramatma who created even me. The word Aja deluded Hiranyakashipu to think that he is the supreme creator. He did not know that Narayana was above him. So he said he gave a sigh of relief and offered all that Hiranyakashipu wanted. Now, by the power and arrogance that Vara, the boons gave him, he started to go plunder everywhere. Sarva Sapta Patin Jitva Vashamaniya Vishwajit Jahara Lokapalanam Thanani Sahatejasa Evam Labdhavaro Daityo Vibhrat Hemamayam Vapuhu Bhagavat Takarod Dvaisham Bhratur Vadham Anusmaran. Thinking, recollecting the death of his brother again and again, he took a beautiful huge form and started to go everywhere. He defeated all the Lokapalas, the Devatas and took over their sthanams. He started to appoint new deities as Indra, Chandra, Kubera. He pushed all of them out. That station was vacant. He started to appoint Devatas afresh from one amongst the Asuras. Seeing Alvar says, Varattenil Shirattai Vikka Valayichu Machavan, Urattenil Karattavai Puhirtalattai Undrinai. Hiranyakashipu, the mistake he did was, Varattenil Shirattai Vikka Shraddha. He kept all his belief, his Shraddha, on the boons that he had gotten, not even on his own power, on the boons that he had gotten from Brahma. So he started to curb everybody's interest. He started to harm everybody. Now they all started running to Bhagavan. They pled to him. Bhagavan appeared before them and asked what they wanted. The Devatas say, you have to kill Hiranyakashipu immediately. Bhagavan says, I have been looking at his actions for a long time. I know that I have to kill him. He is the incarnation of Jaya and Vijaya, Hiranyaksha and Hiranyakashipu, so I have to kill them. But I am still waiting for the opportune moment. The Devas did not know what he was talking about. Isn't this opportune enough? He has already defeated all of us. He has pushed us out from Swarga. This is the right time to take charge at him. But you are not saying, Krishna said, I want to wait for longer. When we read the shloka, Yada Yada Ki Dharmasya Glanir Bhavati Bharata, Bhagavan says, whenever dharma goes down, deteriorates, I will take birth and set it right. When we look at what is going on in the world today, we start to imagine, is this not dharma glani enough? Why can't Bhagavan take it? It is going to be another 4 lakh years before he takes birth as Kalki. We feel that dharma has already deteriorated. Apparently there is a long way to go still. So the Devatas did not understand what Bhagavan was waiting for. So he says, Nirvairaya Prashantaya Swasutaya Mahatmane Prahladaya Yada Druhyet Anishyepi Varorjitam. The minute he goes against Prahlada, who is an innocent small child, at that moment I will take birth and kill him. Anything that he does to the Devas or even his enmity towards Bhagavan, he is able to tolerate. Someone harboring enmity to Bhagavan is nothing new to him. This has been happening for ages and ages. What he cannot tolerate is someone harming his devotees. So he was waiting for Prahlada to take birth and for him to be harmed by Hiranyakashipu. That happened later on. Tasya Daityapate Putraha Chatvara Paramadbhutaha Prahlado Bhun Mahanstesham Gunair Mahadupasakaha Bhratravat Sadrishe Snigdhaha Gurushvishwara Bhavanaha Dasavat Sannataryankrihi Pitravat Deenavatsalaha Vidyartha Rupa Janmadhyaha Manastambha Vivarjitaha. Although he was born in a great clan, he had a lot of wealth and he was a very devout and astute person, He did not have any arrogance because of that. The nature of an asura is that the minute they think they have something great in them, courage or strength or power or wealth, any one of these, even beauty or some form, they think much more than what they actually are. They have arrogance even more than what is allowed for a person with so much greatness. This Prahlada, even though he had all greatness in him, had no arrogance at all. Whenever someone was in trouble, he felt he was their father and meant to help him. All the beings he viewed to be their equals as his own friends so that they could help him. Whenever there was a guru, he considered his gurus to be Ishvara, to be Bhagavan himself, and revered them. This was the conduct that this Prahlada had. Kvachit dhruvati vaikuntha chinta shabala chetanaha nadati kvachit utkantho vilajjo nrityati kvachit. Sometimes suddenly he would be sitting calmly, he would start shouting out Bhagavan's name, he would stand up and start singing and dancing, because he was not worried about what was going on outside. He was always thinking about Bhagavan. He knew nothing. Amongst the, when Bhagavan talks about Vairagyam, he talks about 4 levels: Yadamana Samya, Vyatireka Samya, Ekendriya Samya, and Vashikara Samya in the Bhagavad Gita. The final level of Vairagyam is that whatever happens around you, you do not even realize it is happening. You are so engrossed in the thought of Bhagavan, in the pleasure that you are experiencing thinking of him, that you do not bother about anything that happens around you. That was the state that Prahlada was in. Once Hiranyakashipu came and took Prahlada, made him sit on his lap, embraced him, kissed him, and asked him to narrate something that he had learned. Prahlada immediately says, Tat sadhu manye asuravarya dehinam sada samudvigna dhiyam asatgrahad hitvatmapatam griham andhakopam vanam gato yad harim ashrayet. He uttered just one shloka. He says, he advises Hiranyakashipu that, oh father, I think you are doing something wrong. You consider the devas to be your enemies and asuras as your friends. You think that someone is good to you and someone is trying to harm you. I don't think this is the right method. Instead of all this, give up all your wealth, go to a forest, always surrender to Bhagavan and keep meditating about him. That is the best benefit that an Atma can achieve. Tat sadhu manye asuravarya dehinam. The only good thing for a person with a body, anyone born in this world to do, is to perform meditation and Nama Sankirtanam about Bhagavan. The minute he heard this, Hiranyakashipu was enraged. He immediately called a few preachers who were nearby. Paurohityaya Bhagavan, Vritah Kavya Kilasuraihi, Shanda Markau Sudau Tasya, Daitya Raja Grihantike. Shanda and Amarka were 2 teachers who were running a Gurukula. So immediately Hiranyakashipu called them and sent Prahlada to a Gurukula saying, he does not know right from wrong because he hasn't been educated yet. Once he is educated rightly, that how evil asuras, devas are and how good asuras are, he will come to the right path, he will realize the greatness of mind. Vatsa Prahlada Bhadram Te, Satyam Kathaya Mamrisha, Balan Ati Kutastubhyam, Yesha Buddhi Viparyayaha. He asked Prahlada, why are you deluded like this? You must think that you should say Hiranyaya Namaha. Why are you saying Narayanaya Namaha? Don't utter those words. The mere utterances of the names of Bhagavan was enraging Hiranyakashipu. Alvar says, Palliyil Odi, Vandatan Shiruvan Vayilor Ayiranamam, Ulliyavagi Podavangadana Kunnumor Puruppilanagi. Alvar is surprised that Hiranyakashipu was able to act like this. Palliyil Odi Vandatan Shiruvan. If someone is a stranger, if they commit a mistake, he would be angry. This is Tan Shiruvan, his own son, who is just chanting the names of Narayana. If Hiranyakashipu had considered that it is his own son, he should not have felt angry. Palliyil Odi Vanda, he was just 5 years old, he has just gone to the Pathshala, the Gurukula. He is not someone who should be punished for saying something. Still Hiranyakashipu was angry. Tan Shiruvan, his own son, and he did not say something wrong. Vayiror Ayiranamam Ulliyavagi Poda. He chanted the divine names of Bhagavan, which could not be tolerated by Hiranyakashipu because he considered himself to be greater than Narayana also. So he sent Prahlada to the Gurukula and instructed the 2 teachers to teach him about the evilness of all the suras, of all the devas. He went to the Gurukula, studied there for some time. He did not like what they were teaching. He came back once to Hiranyakashipu's palace. He again took him on his lap and asked him, now have you learned what is right? Realize that not everyone in this, you are a small boy, you are innocent. You don't understand good from evil. All the asuras are good people. All the devas want to harm us. They are all our enemies. You must to nurture your friends. You must try to defeat your enemies. Have you realized this? Prahlada said, I didn't learn any of that. The first day I went to the Gurukula, they started talking along these lines. Immediately I stopped listening to them. I realized that what they were saying is not right in this world. The only good thing that I learned in these few days that I went to the Gurukula, I have realized something. That is, you have to perform bhakti towards Bhagavan in 9 ways. Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnoho Smaranam, Padasevanam, Archanam, Vandanam, Dasyam, Sakhyam, Atma Nivedanam, Iti Pumsarpita Vishno Bhaktischen Navalakshana, Kriyate Bhagavatyadha, Tanmanye Adhitam Uttamam. The most supreme thing that you can learn and you can perform is these 9 forms of bhakti. Shravanam, listening to the glory, the stories of Bhagavan. Kirtanam, singing his names and his praises. Vishnoho Smaranam, constantly thinking about and meditating upon him. Padasevanam, performing services to his lotus feet. Archanam, taking a few flowers and doing archana with them. Vandanam, prostrating before Bhagavan. Dasyam, performing all other acts of servitude. Dasyam, Sakhyam, Atma Nivedanam. Sakhyam means friendship. Atma Nivedanam means offering the Atma to Bhagavan. The Atma is not our own property. The Atma always belongs to Paramatma. But we have been thinking that the Atma is our own property. Kimtena nakritam papam chorena atmapaharina. The Purana says, if you steal gold, it is a big crime. If you steal silver, it is a lesser crime. If you steal a rock from someone, it is a very small crime. So based on what you steal, the punishment is going to be larger or smaller. Similarly, if you steal from a normal bystander, your neighbor, he is not going to punish you much. If you steal from the king of this land, he is going to punish you, give you a great punishment. So whom you steal from also matters in deciding what punishment you get. The Purana says, oh Atmas, you have done the worst theft possible. You have stolen the most precious item from the most powerful person in this world. Bhagavan is the supreme leader of the world, and his most prized possession is the Jivatma. You have now stolen that Jivatma. Kintena nakritam papam. There is no sin that you have not committed if you have stolen the Jivatma from him. So what we have to realize is, this Jivatma belongs to Bhagavan. We are not giving something. Atma Samarpanam does not mean we are giving him something that does not belong to him. It already belongs to him. I had taken and ran away with it. Now I am offering back to Bhagavan saying, this Atma is yours. I have realized that and I am now willing to accept your protection. This is Atma Nivedanam. Sakhyam is a very peculiar thing. How can we be the friends of Bhagavan? Friendship is to be between equals. We are not equal to Bhagavan. But Sakhyam means when there is a friend who is worried, the other friend should also feel worried. When one friend is happy, the other friend also smiles. So friendship means nothing but equal sukha and dukkha. When one person is sad, the other should also feel sad. So Sakhyam to Bhagavan means his happiness should be our happiness and his sorrow should be our sorrow. We must always work for his happiness and to remove any sorrow that he has. Can Paramatma have sorrow? Sorrow that not all people have become devotees yet. Sorrow that not everybody has surrendered to his lotus feet. So we must try to remove his sorrow as much as possible and try to please him as much as possible. This is referred to as Sakhyam. It says, Iti Pumsarpita Vishnu Bhaktischen Navalakshana. If these 9 types of bhakti are offered to Bhagavan, there is nothing more than a Jivatma can do. Listening to this, he was again perturbed. Hiranyakashipu says, Aha Marsha Rushavishtaha Kashayi Bhuta Lochanaha Vadhyatam Ashvayam Vadhyaha Nissarayata Nairritaha. He became angry. He called all his servants and decided that this person of worthy of being killed. So he ordered them to kill him using weapons. He was prodded on, he was poked and stabbed. Nothing happened to Prahlada. Hiranyakashipu did not know what to do. He brought big elephants and made them stomp Prahlada. Nothing happened. He gave him poison. Nothing happened. He took him to a hilltop and pushed him down from the mountain. While falling down, Prahlada caught hold of his chest intensely. People did not know what he was doing. Shuka says, Prahlada thinks that Bhagavan is always residing here. This body is the shrine of Paramatma. When I am tumbling down, whatever happens to my body is immaterial. But if Bhagavan who is inside is tumbling round and round, that is going to be harmful to him. So he held together his chest. Andal in one of her Pashuram says, Mella எழுத்து Ariyendra Peraravam Ullam Puhundu Kulirndelor Embavai Ullum Shilambanahan Kullarayan Kovil in the 6th Pashuram she says, மெல்ல எழுந்து அரியன்ற பேரரவம். Great sages who are living in Aipadi in Gokula are slowly getting up from their beds and chanting the names of Hari. The author, the commentator asks, why should they get up slowly? Are they diabetic or do they have some problems in their knee? Why should they get up slowly? He again answers, they all think, they have realized that Bhagavan is residing within them. So if they get up suddenly, Bhagavan is still sleeping inside. So they should not wake him up immediately. So without waking Bhagavan up, without making him even take a tumble, they wake up slowly and chant the names of Hari to wake him up. Similarly, Prahlada caught on to his chest and fell down from the mountain. Nothing happened. He was thrown into the sea. Nothing happened. Prayase apahate tasmin daitryendrah patishankitaha chakara tad vadhopayan nirbandhena yudhishthira diggajaihi dandashukaischa abhichara avapatanaihi mayabhissan nirodhaischa garadarair abhojanaihi. He gave him poison. He put him down. He made large serpents come and bite him, venomous serpents. Prahlada did not even realize that he was being bitten. In Vishnu Purana, there is a very beautiful shloka. Sato asaktamatihi krishne dasyamano mahoragaihi na viveda atmano gatram tat smrityahlada samsthitaha. Prahlada did not realize that he was being bitten by serpents. He was engrossed in the thought of Bhagavan. That thought gave him a lot of pleasure. Suppose you are happy with something, you are pleased, then a small hurt that you have, you will forget it. There are two types to forget a hurt that you have. One, there must be a larger hurt or harm that is caused to you. There is a small cut here, you will think that it is so painful. If I make a bigger cut, the smaller hurt is going to go away. Or, if you experience great pleasure, you will forget the small headache or whatever stomachache that you had earlier. Similarly, since he was engrossed in the enjoyment of Krishna, he never realized that he was being bitten. Asaktamatihi Krishne na viveda atmano gatram. He did not realize any of this. Then again Hiranyakashipu called him to his court. He answered, this is the last chance that I am giving you. Will you accept that I am the supreme person in this world? Who is making you ask all these questions? This is what he asks Prahlada. Someone must have urged you to do so. Someone must have tainted your mind with bad thoughts that Narayana is the supreme being. Now I am asking you, who is making you chant the names of Bhagavan? Prahlada answers, it is the same person who is making you ask this question now. There is only one Antaryami who is residing within everybody. The Antaryami within me is not different from the Antaryami within you. He who is making you ask this question is also residing within me. Sarvagatvad anantasya sayevaham avasthitaha. He is the only one. Shasta Vishnu Asheshasya Jagatoyo Hridisthitaha Tamrite Paramatmanam Tatakah Kena Shasyate. There is only one Shasta, only one controller in this world. It is Narayana. There can be no one else who can control anybody. So you and I are being controlled by the same person. Please realize this. Give up enmity. There is nothing called friend or foe. Everybody is our friend. Mitra mitra katha kutaha. There is no talk as to being friends with someone or enemies with someone. If we are all working in the same organization for the same owner or the founder, we must all work together. There can be no enmities between servants of the same person. So Prahlada tries to advise him. Pumso varshasatam hyayuhu tadardham cha ajitatmana. In the middle of this, when he went to the Gurukula, all the Asura children are standing in the Gurukula. The teachers had gone out somewhere. Prahlada thought that is a very good moment to teach the Asuras about Narayana. He says, Nahi achyutam prinayataha bhakvayaso asuratmajaha atmatvat sarvabhutanam siddhattvadika sarvataha. He starts to talk to them. He says, don't think bad about Narayana. He is the supreme being. You must be devoted to him. This birth as a human being or even as a Rakshasa is very rare. It is not easy to get a birth where you have limbs, eyes, ears, nose, etc. An animal is not able to read the Vedas and realize who Paramatma is and achieve him. This body that we have gotten is a boon. Shariram Adhyam Khalu Dharma Sadhanam. It is the first tool that we have to perform Dharma, to learn or meditate about Paramatma. So Prahlada says, don't waste this birth. Try to do some archana, some form of aradhana towards Bhagavan, and then he will uplift you, you will be able to attain him. The boys did not understand. They asked him, if Narayana is the supreme being in this world, then it must be very hard to please him. Suppose there is the minister, if there is a person who is in charge of this area alone, you go to him, you can't meet him immediately. You have to wait for some time, you have to please him somehow in order to meet him. Suppose there is the king of this whole country. Or there is the Pradhana Mantri, Prime Minister. It is even harder to meet him, it is even harder to please him. Suppose there is one person ruling over this whole world. How hard must it be to please him? So the boys did not understand how such low people, asuras, rakshasas like themselves, would be able to do aradhanam to Bhagavan. He would never even accept them nearby. They would not be allowed near him also. So Prahlada answers, Nahi Achyutam Prinayataha Bahku Ayasaha Asuratmajaha. Don't think that you have to put a lot of effort in order to please Bhagavan. He is pleased by the smallest of actions, because Sarvagatvad Anantasya Atmatvad Sarvabhutana. He is present as the Antaryami within each and every one of us. Suppose we have a property. Even if that property is a little dilapidated or it is dirty, we will not start to hate it. We will still think that it is my property, I have to take care of it. Even if it is a little dirty, I will go stay there. When I go out to someone else's place, I will come and say, you have not kept your house clean. When I come to my own house, however it is, we will continue to live there, we won't complain at all. So Prahlada says, this body and this Atma are the possession of Bhagavan. So however rotten you are, how many ever sins you have, he is not worried about that. Atmatvad sarvabhutanam, Ishwaratvad, Siddhattvadiha sarvataha. The second reason he says, one, Bhagavan is the Lord of yourself. So the master does not expect anything from you because you have a close association with him. The other point is, he always has everything that can be achieved. There is nothing more. If there is a king here, suppose the lord of this land has 10 crore rupees. If I say I can offer him 10 more crores, he would immediately come running to me and come meet me. If there is someone who has 1,000 crores, if I offer another 100 crores, they would even come to me. Now Prahlada said, Bhagavan has everything in this world that can be achieved. Nanavaptam avaptavyam vartayevacha karmani. There is nothing more that Bhagavan has to achieve. So, when someone is already content, they don't go asking people for more and more and more. Suppose I am not fulfilled. I still want to, I am a Lakshadipati. I want to be a Crorepati. When you come to me, I can say, you give me 10 lakhs, I will do whatever you want from me. But if someone is already a multi-billionaire, and I can offer 10 rupees or 100 rupees at the maximum, they would say, I will do it for free, don't give anything to me. Because they are already content, they are fulfilled, they don't want anything from you. So these two reasons, Atmatvat Sarvabhutanam, we are all his possessions. So he does not expect anything from us. Siddhatvadika Sarvataha, he is already fulfilled, complete, he is satisfied, he does not want anything from us. So don't think that he is hard to please. It is very easy to please him. Balasya antahparastasya mahatsango duranvayaha chindina samshayam saumya syatchet vishrambha karanam. Immediately the boys who are around him started to ask Prahlada, where did you learn all this? You are also an Asura kid. We are also Asura children. You have never left the palace of Hiranyakashipu. Who taught you all of these? Prahlada said, Narada taught me. They asked him, when did you meet Narada? From the time you are born, you have been here, we have been seeing you. When did you meet Narada? Then Prahlada narrates the story that when Hiranyakashipu had gone to do penance on the mountain, the Devas tried to attack the Nagara, the city of Hiranyakashipu. They tried to kill Hiranyakashipu's wife also. But Narada stops them saying, this wife is going to give birth to a great Bhagavata, a great devotee. Don't slay her, I will take her to my ashrama. So Narada takes her there and he does a lot of Upadesha. She does not remember any of them. But Prahlada, who was residing in the womb of that lady, listened to all the Upadeshas. Shraddhaya tat kathayam cha kirtanair guna karmanam tat padamburuha dhyanad tal linge ksharhanadvihi. Since I was interested in Paramatma, when Narada was preaching, I listened to all that he had to teach me. Finally, when I was born, I already had all this knowledge. I was born with devotion to Bhagavan. It's called Sahaja Bhakti. Sahaja is something that is born with you when you are born. So Prahlada it was not Sadhya Bhakti. He did not try to create Bhakti to develop devotion in Bhagavan. He was born with devotion naturally due to the Anugraham of Narada. So finally he tried to change the minds of the Asura children also. Seeing this, the teachers now felt that he can no more stay in the Gurukula. He will spoil himself and the other children also. They immediately took him back to Hiranyakashipu. Hiranyakashipu gave one final opportunity to him. He said, if you accept that I am the greatest person, I will grant you leave. I will permit you to continue to live on. If not, I will kill you. Prahlada says, Jatya asuram bhavam imam tvam atmanaha samam mano dhatsva nasanti vidvishaha. Father, I again stress upon you. Do not think that you have enemies. We are all servants of the same Lord. Please accept this. Leave your enmity and associate yourself with the Devas and become a Vishnu Bhakta. Once he said this, Hiranyakashipu was not ready to hear anymore. He started to lash out at Prahlada. He said, if you say, as you claim, Bhagavan is present everywhere, why cannot I not see him here? Why cannot not see him there? Why cannot not see him on this pillar? Yastvaya manda bhagyoktaha madanyo jagadishvaraha kvasau yadisa sarvatra kasmat stambhe nadrishyate sokam vikatkamanasya shirah kayad haramite. He says, now you have said that Bhagavan is present everywhere. Now, I am going to break this pillar that I have made. Alanditta Tunai, Avantatta, Ange Valuyat Chinkaburuvai Ulantottu. That pillar had been built by Hiranyakashipu. It is now being struck down by him. He says, if Bhagavan is not present there, I will immediately cut your head off, you will be punished for your insolence. If Bhagavan is present there, and if you say he is a great person, I will fight with him and I will kill him. I am going to kill both of you now. Saying so, he starts to hit at the pillar. Evam duruktair muhur muhuhu udaryan rusha sutam mahabhagavatam mahasuraha khadgam pragrihya utpatito varasanat stambam tatada atibalas swamushtina satyam vidhatum nijavritya bhashitam vyaptim cha bhuteshu akhileshu chatmanaha adrishyatadbhuta rupam udvahan stambhe sabhayam na mrigam na manusham. He kept his knife down and with his mushti, with his closed fist, he starts to hit the pillar. The minute he hit the pillar, it burst out and Narasimha Murti appears. Adbhutam Rupam. When we say Narasimha, it is not a very gruesome form. The Vishnu Sahasranama says, Narasimha Bapuhu Shriman. The word Shriman there means he who is beautiful. He has a beautiful an enticing form. That is because even if he is born as a Simha, even as a Narasimha, he is so beautiful. The beauty that Paramatma has can never be removed from him. So, Stambhe Sabhayam na mrigam na manusham. Since he had the boons that Hiranyakashipu had asked were that neither human nor animal should kill me. So, Bhagavan combined both. From the neck downwards, he was a human. And the head alone was that of a Narasimha, was that of a lion. Adrishyata atyadbhuta rupam udbhahan. It was a new form. No one had witnessed such a form of Bhagavan Vishnu even. They had seen him as an animal, as Varaha, Matsya, Kurma, etc. They had seen him as a Deva or as a human also. Nobody had seen this mixture. Anything that is new is astonishing, is surprising to us. Adbhuta rupam udbhahan satyam vidhatum nijavritya bhashitam. Vyaptimcha bhuteshu akileshu chatmanaha. Shukacharya says, he came out from the same pillar. Why did he have to do so? He could have come out of any pillar, but he had two full promises to fulfill. One, Prahlada had said that Bhagavan is omnipresent. He is present everywhere. So unless he came out from where Hiranyakashipu had hid, someone might argue that since Bhagavan came out of this pillar, he is present only here, he is not present there. So what Narasimha did was, he took n number of forms because he did not know which pillar Hiranyakashipu was going to hit. He did not know which pillar Prahlada was going to point to. So he entered all the pillars in the Bhavanam of Hiranyakashipu and stood there. The minute he pointed to one pillar and it was hit, he came out of that. Satyam vidhatum nija bhritya bhashitam. If he had come out from any other pillar in that sabha, then what Prahlada had said would have been false. Prahlada said, Punilum Ilupulan, Kurumbilamulan, he is present everywhere. Then he pointed to this pillar. Then if he had not come out of that, the words of his devotee would have been false. He never allows that to happen. He even accepts his falsehood sometimes. He lies sometimes, but he never allows his devotees to be liars. Satyam vidhatum nija bhritya bhashitam yaptim cha bhuteshu akileshu chatmanaha. He had to show that he pervades every entity, every object in this world. Therefore, he came out of that stamba. And the minute he came out, Hiranyakashipu did not know what to do. He picked up his gada and went to fight with him. Tam vikramantam sagadam gadadharaha mahoragam tarkshasuto yathakrahit. Hiranyakashipu went to fight with him. He, without much effort at all, just as a Garuda will catch hold of a snake while flying, it does not put a lot of effort. It will just swoop down. If there is a snake on the ground, it will pick it up and fly away. Similarly, when Hiranyakashipu came towards Narasimha Murti, he immediately caught hold of Hiranyakashipu, put him on his lap and went outside. He went to the steps that were there in the entrance to the Bhavanam, because there were other boons that Hiranyakashipu had asked. He said, I should not die on the ground or in the sky. So he sat in the middle on steps. The steps were also not inside the house or outside the house. So all these boons there was a loophole in all of them. Finally, Hiranyakashipu had asked that neither a living thing nor a non-living thing should kill him. So, if Bhagavan had used Sudarshana Chakra or anything else, it would have been a living being. Because all the Ayudhams of Bhagavan are Nityasuri. Sudarshana is a Nityasuri. Panchajanya is a Nityasuri. So he can't use them. So instead, he used his own nails. The nails can neither be said to be living nor non-living. When you cut the edge of the nails, you don't have any feeling. You don't feel pain. So they are non-living. But when you cut them, they grow again and again and again. So they are also living. When something is cut and a tree grows back, it is a living being. So the Naka is both living and non-living. So he used his Nakas and he pushed aside all the other weapons that he usually uses. So Vedanta Deshika in Dashavatara Stotram says, Pratyadishta Puranatana Prahlada Grama Kshanam Panijaihi Abhyat Trini Bhuvan Akunta Mahima Vaikuntha Kantiravaha Yat Pradurbhavanad Avandhya Jatara Yadrichikat Vedasam Yakachit Sahasa Mahasura Grihastuna Pitamahya Bhut. He jokingly says, suddenly one of the pillars in Hiranyakashipu's palace became the grandmother of Brahma. Yakachit Sthuna Pitamahi Abhut. Pitamahi means grandmother. The father of Brahma is Vishnu. Now this pillar has given birth to Narasimha, so it is the mother of Narasimha. So this pillar became the grandmother of Brahma himself. Yakachit Sthuna Pitamahi Abhut. And in that avatara, Pratyadishta Puratana Praharana Gramaha. All the other weapons that he usually uses in his other avataras, Pratyadishta, he pushed them away. He was used only his Naka for all his activities because the boons of Hiranyakashipu were so. He picked Hiranyakashipu up. Nakam Purot Padita Krit Saroruham Visrijyatasya Anucharan Udayudhan Ahan Samantran Naka Shastra Panivihi. Naka Shastra Panihi. The only weapon that he had was his own Naka. He started to stare into the chest of Hiranyakashipu. There is a whole pool of blood inside, and Alvar says he slowly started to keep his hand inside and searched for something. Ulam Tottu, Alvar says, Alanditta Tunai Avan Tatta, Ange Valuyit Chinga Uruvai, Ulam Tottu. It was as though Narasimha was searching for something. Is he searching for the kidney or the spleen or the intestine? We don't know. He was looking for something inside. Alvar says he was searching inside the deep depths of Hiranyakashipu's heart, whether there was an iota of devotion towards him, not even devotion, an iota of reverence towards him. Even that is sufficient for us to go on the right path. Alvar says, Pul Kavva Kedakindrire. He advises us that we must, as soon as possible, worship Bhagavata. If we do not worship him during our lifetime, once we are dead, nobody will come to care about our body. Our body will be thrown out into the sun. Then vultures and other beings which come to eat those things, the vulture will come nearby and not start eating immediately. He says, Pul Kavva Kedakindrire. The vulture will come and peck on you. It will not start eating you, tear into your flesh. It will slowly hold on to your flesh and see something, test something. Alvar says it will see whether this body has ever uttered the words, names of Narayana. If it has not uttered even once, the vulture will not eat that body at all, throw it away and go away. So Alvar says, Pul Kavva Kedakindrire. Similarly, Narasimha gave one final chance. Even Rama did the same. He gave many opportunities for Ravana to correct himself. Even at the end, when Ravana did not correct his path, Rama had to kill him. So Ulam Tottu, he looked into the heart of Hiranyakashipu to see whether there was some good in him. Finally, realizing there was none, he started to tear him apart. All the servants came running with upholding all the weapons. He killed all of them also. Ahan samantat naka shastra parshtivihi dordanda yudho anupathan sahasrashaha dyauhu tat sato kshipta vimana sankula protsarpata kshamacha padati pidita shaila samutpetu ramushya ramhasa tat tejasakham ukubhona rejire. The light that was emanated from his body made the sun go dark. The blood that was pouring out made the whole land there red. And all the bhutas or devatas, all of them were astonished. They didn't know what to do. They were afraid to even come nearby. And adding fuel to fire, Narasimha suddenly became even more enraged. Hiranyakashipu was now dead. But this Narasimha avatara, Murti, he peered into the pool of blood that was there. Kurattalvan in his Sundara Babu Stavam says, Nakha Krakachaka, Pratigrathita Daitya Vakshasthali Samutta Ruchira Chata, Churita Bimbitam Swam Babuhu, Vilokya Rushita Punaha, Prati Mirgendra Shanka Vashad. Usually, we've heard stories where there is a lion, a rabbit wants to cheat the lion, it takes him to a pond and tells him to peep into the pond. The lion sees inside and sees its own reflection, thinks there is another lion there and jumps into that and dies away. Same thing he says, Purattalvan says happened here. There was a pool of blood that had gathered inside the body of Hiranyakashipu. Narasimha was peering inside to see whether there was something left, some good left in him. At that time, he saw his own reflection. Vilokya Rushita Punaha Prati Mirgendra Shanka Vashad. He thought, I was the only Narasimha, the Lord of the forest, the Lord of the whole universe. Is there another Narasimha just like me? Thinking so, Punaha Rushitaha. He became angry again. That anger was so much that nobody could come near him. But Purattalvan says, Sayesha Vanadrisha Sundaraha. Even then, he had a beautiful form. That same Bhagavan is the Sundarabahu who is now residing in Tirumalaram Sholamalai near Madurai. So the same Bhagavan who at the same time when he was angry that his devotee had been harmed, the same person is also glad to look at devotees also. When we see him, we did not feel afraid at all. Bhagavan is presenting as Ugra Narasimha, Yoga Narasimha, Lakshmi Narasimha, many forms. When Lakshmi is nearby, we can be calm, that he won't be much angry. Even otherwise, to devotees, he never shows his anger. All his anger is directed at the enemies of his devotees. So, we can never be afraid of him. Narasimha is worshipped in many temples the world over. That is because his anger is to our benefit. Andal in one of her Pashuram says, Iraiva Shiri Arulade, Iraiva Nitharai Parai. Shiri Arulade, don't be angry at us. What should he have said? Shiri Nigraham Pannade. Don't show your Nigraha. But Andal says, Shiri Arulade. Shiridal anger is also a form of Arul, a form of your favor that Bhagavan can show to us because it aims to correct us. It is not to push us down or it is not to push us into the samsara. It is to correct us. Opakalo yugantaste hatoyam asurolpakaha tatsutam patvipasritam bhaktam te bhaktavatsala natos myanantaya duranta shaktaye vichitra viryaya pavitra karmane vishwasya sargasthiti samyaman gunaihi swalilaya sandadate avyavatmane. All the devatas, Brahma, Indra, all of them came down and they start to praise Lord Shri Narasimha and he slowly pacifies down and they ask him to bless Prahlada. Only then Prahlada comes nearby and Prahlada does a beautiful stotram about Narasimha and finally he asks Prahlada to ask any boon of him. He felt bad that he had killed Prahlada's father in front of his own eyes. So he asks Prahlada to ask anything of him and Prahlada asks a beautiful boon that how many ever births he takes, he should never be devoid of devotion towards Paramatma. I can even take the birth of a small worm which does not have a spine or a skeletal system even. Even then, whether I am born as a human, as a deva or asura or as a worm, my devotion in my heart should never change towards you. Bhagavan was happy, he granted that boon and also said that your sins of your father will also be forgiven by me because he is your father. When Bhagavan is as a devotee who is so loving to him, that love that Bhagavan shows goes to others around him also. So he forgave Hiranyakashipu merely because of his association for Prahlada and that Ugra Murti, that Narasimha, along with Sri Mahalakshmi Tayar on his lap, is even today giving his benedictions and his blessing to each and every one of us. This story shows the importance or how intolerant Bhagavan is towards crimes committed towards his bhaktas. Even when we do something wrong towards Bhagavan, finally if we realize our mistake, take one lotus flower and go place them at his feet and plead for forgiveness. He will forgive us immediately. Even for crores of years, if we have committed a sin, he is ready to forgive us. But in Varaha Purana, Bhagavan says, if someone performs a sin towards my devotees, they harm my devotees in some way, kalpakoti shatenapi nas kshamami vasundhare, then even if they bring crores of lotuses and do aradhanam to me for crores of years, I will never forgive them. I will forgive any wrongdoing that they have done towards me, but anything that they do to harm my devotees, I am intolerant. I can never accept that. Every avatara that Bhagavan takes is to protect his own devotees, and Lord Sri Narasimha is a standing example of that. We have had the fortune of enjoying the Narasimha avatara sitting on the premises in the mandira of Uttigemat and Lord Narasimha in Narasimha Kshetram itself. I thank you all for patiently listening to today's lecture. This concludes the third day of the Bhagavad Saptaha Parayana. We have completed the 7th skandha. There are a few more Upadeshas also left in this. We will cover them and the next portions in tomorrow's sessions. Thank you all for attending. Shriman Mahabhutapuraya Srimad Kesava Yajvanaha Kantimatyam Prasutaya Yadirajaya Mangalam.